Oh, look at that. Shiggles. All right, Shiggles. Well, thanks for the re-up. All right, so I'm back. We're just waiting for Shiggles to figure out everything.
Okay, now that I've got it open in Chrome, though, every time I try to do the knock thing, it just tells me something went wrong.
Okay, let me try sending it to you again.
It won't let me collaborate.
All right, that's better. I mean, at least you're there.
I'm here.
All right.
Oh, crap, I was still muted on my. There we go. I
So
was muted on my own stream.
So we're not going to spend, 20, 25 minutes with technical difficulties like we did the previous time, which was absolutely awful. Although I don't know if you watched the VOD, I did try to make light of it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, the first time I was having technical difficulties, I used all the SpongeBob rejoins. I actually downloaded all of them. So there was
nice.
a few moments later, half an eternity later, a whole day later, or so.
Yeah, that's how we did it. It took a little bit, but we figured it out. I thought we did pretty good for a first time.
For for a dry run, first time out, I thought it worked out pretty good.
Yeah.
All right, so let's see. In the 2 weeks since we talked, what have oh you just disappeared. What have you been working on? What have you done? Anything new?
I have done some new stuff.
Okay.
Well, okay. So here's one thing. The very first thing that I did was something that I printed a long time ago and then just left in pieces.
Mm-hmm.
But I made this. I put together this little hot rod car.
Oh, you are not sharing with me anymore. There he is.
Oh, I just had to turn it off and back on again. Cool.
Oh, and now you're clear. Okay,
The way
there
you
we
do
go.
everything.
We're making absolute progress here. Okay.
Heck yeah.
All right, so you were talking about a car.
Yeah. I made this copying pasting things. But I made this little car guy. I put him together. I printed this out. I printed in a bunch of pieces.
Okay.
But I got him all completely printed out, painted, because that was, except for the blue, everything was just in white.
That looks awesome.
So I got him printed out and stuff, but then it sat for like weeks, just unassembled, before I finally got it together.
Okay. Is there anything else that you experimented with over the last 2 weeks?
There is. So I made this guy. He's a little small. So it's supposed to be a little hexagon shelf that you can throw up.
Right. They always show like little Pokemon or Funko Pops on those things.
Yep. And unfortunately, my small printer that's as big, like the base, as you can see, is not super like wide.
Right.
Because my printer's small.
Yeah.
But also the way they had that model painted, like you can see the outside is all the solid color of whatever shelf you want to paint. And then it's just the backdrop that's white, which is a good idea because whatever you want to showcase, then it's off of a white background, or you could paint it a different color if you have something that's bright that you want to, put on a back or a black or a darker background to have it still contrast. But I think I'm going to change that one. I do want to print another one because with my small print bed on the Mini, I can blow that up bigger if I change the way that it's painted.
Okay.
Because right now, the way that it's painted, it requires a prime tower.
Okay. Oh, God, yeah.
And because, I don't know, I might try a different slicer too, just to see if it works different. But in Bamboo Studio, you can't move that prime tower to the edge of the plate. For some reason, it gives it a big margin.
Yeah,
so anything
it's very limited in where you can position the tower.
Yeah, and you can adjust the width of it. I did find settings where you can change it so you can kind of squish it and it doesn't take up as much of the print bed.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, you can squish it down in the width, but you can't physically move it, even though it's not on the edge of the plate.
Oh.
Which I always thought was strange.
I didn't know that you could do anything other than slide it back and forth.
Yeah, and it's like, because I do it, Or I guess I've done it with. I haven't printed a whole lot of stuff that requires like any kind of manipulation of it,
Mm-hmm.
but I have done some. But it seems to work out relatively okay, I guess. Like it's I can get some stuff at least bigger than I would normally be able to get it. I
Right.
can't you still can't get it max size, which on the A1 mini I feel like you almost need to maximize things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Especially for this cuz I was even looking around for stuff. I don't really have anything to display that's that small that I could fit inside that little hexagon. So I think I'm going to try doing it instead of the way it's painted now is change to the paint by layer option. So I can just print the backdrop, like the whole back of that model would be one color. And then it would switch after the back is done to the second color.
Yeah, you
Because
should.
you wouldn't really see the back side of that shelf. You know, it's going to be mounted against a wall.
Mm-hmm.
You'll see a little bit like that thin strip on the back, like from the side.
Right.
But I want to print one out just like that, just to see how noticeable it is.
Yeah.
Because if I do it by layers, then I don't have to have a prime tower, and I can blow that up to take the whole 180 mils. And I could even rotate it, you know, so that it's like instead of being 180 mils like from point to point on the sides here,
Right.
if I turn it a little bit, it's like I can get even more out of it. So I could make the
Yeah. I
whatever
mean,
side you want to have the base could be as long as possible.
if you make it so that the vertices are pointed towards a corner, then you should be able to stretch it out.
Yeah. I want to see how big I can get it if I do it by layers and see if that's more usable because I do have some small Lego models that would be kind of cool in that, but they're just a little bit too big for that size of shelf.
Yeah, I can see that.
Because I'd like to get it big enough I can fit them the miniature kits in there, and I think I have 5 of them, so I could make a little pattern out of the 5, put it somewhere behind me, like maybe in this little section or wherever
Right. I
on the
can see that.
wall.
Yeah. You're gonna need more lights though if you end up doing that because you're gonna have to really put
Oh
those
yeah,
on display. Maybe spotlights.
yeah. Well, I can just bust out my other lights.
Yeah.
I do have how many? I've got 2 spots, and then I've got another kind of wall washer that's like the one behind me. Oh, can't really see it, but
Well, you can
it's on the
definitely.
bed there. It's one of the bar type ones,
Oh, okay. So you get a
so I
little
can
bit
get
more
that and
even
throw that in.
distribution.
Yeah,
Okay.
or I could even take a spotlight and just put it somewhere so that it's more direct and aimed at that wall, like on those spots.
have you set up your store yet?
I have not set up the store yet.
What are you waiting for?
I am I am always waiting for something. I don't know. I've waited on a few things. Trying to do a little bit of modeling. I'm trying to learn how to use Tinkercad a little bit. I know I don't have to use it that way, but I kind of want
Um,
to take a little bit of time for that. I did do.
they're not mutually exclusive. You don't have to do one before the.
Yeah, I realize this,
But I
but I
mean,
made this.
I'm exactly the opposite. I've opened my store, and the customers are the ones who are waiting.
Oh yeah.
I've had a ton of people look at the models I have on there, but no one
Hmm.
actually pulled the trigger on one yet.
Yeah, I need to get. I guess I need to just do more of actually looking into commercially available stuff instead of looking for things I think are cool.
Yeah, see, one of my biggest problems is I'm printing out so much stuff that I want. If I actually got
Hmm.
orders, I would be very limited right now on filling some of them because of the colors I have available. Although I did just get a big shipment of bamboo filaments in, like a lot. Yeah, because they were running a really nice sale on matte PLA this past week. So I
Oh, okay.
really couldn't resist it because I mean, you know me, I love matte PLA. Absolutely. It because it masks layer lines better than the shiny versions of PLA does. Um,
Yeah.
you're able to make things like this. The
Oh, nice.
okay, a knit dinosaur.
Hmm.
Now in Maker World, it's one color. Okay, on the
Okay.
slicer, I actually used the circle painting tool and just did one
Yeah.
dot on each eye so that as it was printing, it would fill in black so I didn't have to paint it later. So, and it came
There
out
you go.
perfect.
Yeah, he's nice.
But I pulled the trigger this week. Okay, I told you before I had PETG. I was nervous about using it. Okay, but I'm actually finishing up my spool because I've been printing like crazy with it. The one spool that I have, because I wanted this tool for my bamboo. Okay, it's a new wiper because the
Oh, okay.
P1S only has a what a PETF, or I forget what those tubes are called. Um, just to wipe it, and it doesn't do a great job. So you print this out, screw it in place, and after it wipes over that, it has the little silicone wipers like on my Cheaty to clean the nozzle. So not only does
Yeah,
it break off the filament, but then it cleans the nozzle. So that is getting installed when this current print is done.
that'd
Um,
be a good upgrade.
oh, it's a huge upgrade. I'm super excited to actually install it. And I also printed out. I printed out a stack of multi-board. Okay,
There
nine
you go.
9x9 multi-board. Um, with the PETG because it's supposed to be less brittle than PLA, so it's perfect
Hmm.
for this function. And I have three uh, of the movie 300 inspired. Um, when Leonidas' shield gets hit by all the arrows.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's picture Leonidas' shield like stamped into the ground with toothpicks filling in where the arrows are because it's a toothpick holder. But
Oh, that's good.
so I've got
That's a good one.
I've got three of those printing right now, and I'm going to dry paint them to give them like a bronze finish, so
Hmm.
that when I put the toothpicks in, it'll look like arrows sticking out of Leonidas' shield. Which I'm super excited to see the final product. Um,
That's a good one.
oh, and I got a little silly. Now this needs to be painted, okay? But I printed out Loki's mask from the movie The Mask, the
Oh,
Jim
very
Carrey movie,
nice.
okay?
Yeah.
And I'm going to do a very, very thin purple and green paint job on it so that it
Okay.
reflects those colors, okay? But this is in PETG, and it printed, I mean, other than a tiny bit of stringing on it, it printed out so nice. Oh my
Nice.
gosh. And I mean, this is sturdy, man. Let me tell you. I don't know if I'm gonna hang this or what I'm gonna use it for, but I'm totally gonna paint it and put it on display somewhere.
Yeah, that'll be nice.
Yeah, so I've been just running through it, and the one thing that they say about PETG that I've heard is, well, two things. Is number one, you when you use it, you need to use it because it absorbs moisture super fast.
Yeah.
Um, but also there's bed adhesion issues, so you have to make sure that you've got the right glue in place so that when you first start printing with it, it doesn't immediately peel off the bed, and also when it's done, that's not stuck to the bed because the glue also helps it release when it's done printing. And
Very
I've
nice.
seen both sides of that. When I first started printing the shields,
Mm.
um, it immediately lost adhesion, and so I had to like restart it. But when I was pulling the mask off, and the supports for it were like bonded with the plate, so it took me I had to break out my heat gun and my scraper and
Yeah.
really work it to get that stuff off. And I
Huh.
had used a ton of glue on there before, but some of the supports did not want to let go.
Lame. Yeah, it's the one. It's kind of the double-edged sword with like the textured PEI plate because I have two of them,
Yeah.
but they're the only plate type I have. They're not dual-sided or anything, and PLA comes off of them so easily
Hmm.
once it's cooled. But yeah, for I haven't tried PETG yet. I don't have any yet. I have so much PLA in different colors that I'm like, man, maybe I should just use some of this up first, and then I can maybe do some PETG stuff. Or if I find something to print that I think needs a little more structural integrity like that,
Yeah.
like if I do end up figuring out how to model some custom inserts on shelf brackets and stuff, that I'll probably just buy PETG for.
Yeah. One
But
of the
I did this thing out of PLA for my my middle daughter, she has a snake. She wanted a reptile hide for it.
Oh my word.
So I had to print it in four pieces because it's a top and a base. And then the top, I just split in two. I put these little connectors on it, which you
Okay.
just use the slicer software for to add like the little nub connectors that are on there. And then the other side of the top has like a little chute. So it'll be buried, but this is how they get in and out of it.
Okay.
And then I already super glued together the base. So it's got like an open end here and an open end on this side. So you'd put it with like, this is the outside corner of a tank.
Okay.
And then kind of this one just faces inside. It's got little slots so it stays humid in there from the substrata has moisture in it that they need. So it won't just be super dry in there. But it's kind of deep. But apparently this is kind of the dimension she gave me for it that her snake would need to fit in there comfortably.
Right.
So you kind of bury it underneath the substrate, and then I'll have to glue the top together and put it together. I had to print this piece of the top, so this like little flat piece.
Mm-hmm.
I reprinted this because I had to scale this whole thing up and then split it and do connectors. And the base printed out great, but for some reason, like when I saved the project, because I had all four pieces just in one project, I scaled the base first, then split it. Once I saved it and I came back later to scale up the top pieces,
Mm-hmm.
it had overwritten the old values for what the base was. If you go into scaling, because normally it saves it for whatever project you started with, and then I scaled it with the percentages. But then
Oh.
after I saved it and closed it, it saved the new dimensions as 100%.
Oh no.
So I no longer had a reference for like, well, how much bigger did I make these things? So I had to go in and do calculations based on like use the measuring tool
You
for the
couldn't
width of it and then figure out how much that was. And it somehow printed like 10 millimeters too wide.
you couldn't just close it when it asks you if you want to keep the settings, say no and reopen the project as a new one and then just go from there?
I probably could have, but I didn't think about it. I was
Oh,
just
okay.
like, I need to save what I did because I was gonna get to it after work, basically.
I got you.
And then when I came back from work, I was like, oh no, now everything says it's scaled to 100% on all four pieces, but they're all different sizes. But somehow I got the height and I got the length of it fine. It was just the width was like 10 millimeters off.
Hmm.
And
Okay.
because it's like this one piece, it's like from here to here. So this piece was way easier to print because it doesn't have all the overhangs to make like the tunnel part of it. So it printed in like an hour and 20 minutes.
You didn't try using the measuring tool either in the slicer?
I did. But
Oh,
for
okay.
some reason, I think because there's a lip, there's like this there's like this ridge of a lip where it sits
Oh,
inside the
yeah,
base.
that would mess it up. Yeah, yeah.
I must have measured inside the lip on one side and then
Mhm.
outside on the other when I scaled. But yeah, then I just shrunk this piece down widthwise for by 10 millimeters and then reprinted it and it does fit. But I don't have it joined yet because I had to like carefully separate the other two because I had already tried to glue them together. And I was like, all right, if I pry this apart gently, maybe I won't break any layers apart. So it kind of worked. I just gotta clean it up a little bit on the edges and re-glue that top piece together.
All right, that sounds cool.
Yeah.
the
It was it was a lot of time invested in that project.
Oh, I don't doubt it. Oh, speaking of time, okay, you got to check this one out. Like that. All right, here we go. Okay, so time. I decided I want my father in law's birthday is coming up in March. Okay, and I decided that I want to make him something. Okay, and so I've been really into printing out hammers, like different versions of Thor's hammer for different
Oh, okay.
themes. Okay,
Hmm.
and I came across this model. This guy makes them for just about everything, but he made a rock base. Okay, for the hammer that actually
Hmm.
has elaborate carvings in the where the hammer sits. Okay,
Nice.
and he's a huge Pittsburgh Steeler fan, so I made him a terrible towel for his
Terrible.
hammer. Here's the thing,
Nice.
though. I did not look at the settings. For me, I was like, oh, that looks really cool. Let me go ahead and print it out. Okay,
Hmm.
see how it looks. And sure enough, uh, it took 3 days and 14 hours to print this
Wow.
because here on the edges, which on most of my hammers, the edges have actually printed as part of the overall pummel.
Hmm.
Unfortunately, with this one, not only did these print separately, but they were 100% infill.
Oh wow.
This is a very heavy
Yeah,
hammer.
it's gonna be solid.
Okay. But I mean, with this thing sitting in the rock, let me tell you something. This looks iconic. Okay, I'm not.
Yeah.
I still have to do some processing because I got to get rid of a little bit of stringing that showed up here. Okay,
Hmm.
but outside of that, this thing is so heavy. Okay, and I mean, it feels like a quality piece. I mean, he's going to have this on display next to his television whenever the Steelers are playing. He'll be able to, throw it at something or somebody. Hopefully, not me.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, almost 4 days this thing took. It is the longest print I've done since I started printing.
Yeah, I've been scared to do like a multi-day print. Just I'm like, what if it warps at like day two?
Well, the funny thing is, when I started it, I said to myself, "Watch, in the middle of this, that's when someone's finally going to order something, and I'm going to end up having to
Oh yeah.
either stop it and forego whatever material was being used, or but look, I mean, luckily, no one has ordered anything.
Luckily. So
So,
yeah, it's good times.
by the way, there will be a link for the store underneath the YouTube video and the Twitch video. So, if you're interested, check out the models. I actually have some really cool stuff on there. And at some point, Shiggles will open up a storefront that we can put a link on underneath this stuff as well at some point.
Yes, we'll have very small prints you can buy from me.
Okay. So in the 3D printing space, a lot has happened in the last 2 weeks as well.
Hmm.
There have been a couple of printers released, which are very similar to the Bamboo. And there's actually a new one launching tomorrow.
Ooh, tomorrow. Is that the Elegoo one?
I told you about this
Centauri
one.
carbon?
Yeah, I told you about this one a few weeks ago, the Centauri Carbon.
Hmm.
It is all pretty much the same build plate as the Bamboo X1 series or the P1 series. Okay, the 258 by 258. Except I think theirs is 250 by 250 by 260 or something like that instead of 258, 258, and 258. The only
Hmm.
different, one of the major difference, not the only difference, one of the major differences though is that it will actually print all the way to that 260, where the Bamboo comes just short, stops at like 248 or something like that. You can't quite get to the 258 because
Huh.
of the where the nozzle's positioned. I guess it just doesn't allow for that extra space. But
Interesting.
we have no idea how much it's going to cost.
Hmm.
Um, there are rumors it's going to be a lot less than the Bamboo printers. Okay, and they
Yeah, I
are
saw 500 being tossed around by a few people of
a
their ballpark figure.
there's a lot of hopeful people who keep saying 500, okay, or less.
Yeah.
Okay, um, and the it is going to have multi-material available to it, but I did not hear if it was going to have multi-material available at launch. Okay, they might be doing what Cheaty did, where they launch it and then a few months later they release multi-material, or they could do what Creality did with their Bamboo clone, and have the multi-material launch with the unit. Okay,
Yeah.
but here's the thing. Uh, Tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. Eastern, Uncle Jesse, one of the big 3D printing YouTubers, he's been making videos for like 12 years about 3D printing. He's going to have a live stream at like 9 a.m. to premiere this thing and actually give you the price. Okay,
Oh, nice.
so I guess the official launch is 9 a.m. Eastern tomorrow, and it's going to be on his stream that they announce what the price is. I have been given a green light. Okay. I've been given a green light to get another printer. Here's the
Oh,
caveat, though.
nice.
Here's the caveat. I have to give one of my printers to my son.
Oh, okay.
Okay. And I'm probably going to give him the Cheaty because they still haven't released their multi-material, and I just don't see why I would continue to try and use that because it's not going to fit in with what I do with the store anyway. So,
Yeah.
If from what I've seen, the Elegoo is getting extremely good reviews from everyone. If the price is what they say it is, and it comes in at that low point, I'll end up getting that. If not, then I'm going to get another P1S and have two P1Ss right next to each other.
Okay.
I was looking at a P1P, but Bamboo did something really weird on their website. The P1P is no longer being sold in a combo with the multi-material. Okay,
I saw
the
that.
AMS.
Yeah, they took that away.
So if you buy them individually, it comes out to $10 less than the P1S does with the combo.
Yep.
So why in the world would I do that?
I feel like they're trying to push P1S sales by doing that because then they knew, okay, if we take away the bundle discount on the P1P, then it doesn't make sense to not get the P1S.
That's exactly what I'm saying. I mean, why would I pay $10 less when I could get, a a unit heater and the camera and all that other stuff?
Yeah.
Like because I was looking at doing the P1P as the secondary printer and have multicolor with that, so I'd have two multicolor printers, and save at least $100. But I
Mhm.
wouldn't. I'd be saving $10, and that makes no
Yeah.
sense. No sense
Doesn't make any
whatsoever.
sense at all. May as well just go whole hog.
Yeah,
Get the other
I mean,
P1S.
so um, also for Valentine's Day, I printed out a ton of stuff. I made a bunch of stuff for my wife, but I don't know why I'm all into fidgets. Maybe because my students really like fidgets. But I actually made one of these. Well, actually, I printed out 4 of these heart things. Okay,
Yeah.
they are oddly addictive. They don't do anything except fall apart and come back together. Okay, but it's in the shape of a heart. Okay, I have one that's in the shape of a pineapple also, and I have legitimately just found myself slapping my hand with these things
Hmm.
forever. Like it is incredibly relaxing to just have these things fall apart and come back together. No idea why it works as well as it does. I'm probably
Yeah,
gonna
I don't
give
know.
those to my students. I don't know.
They just feel fun to play with.
Yeah, right. Yes, this is the 3D printing podcast. Yes, and that's why we have the Prince and Giggles because we do have our own
Yeah.
streams. Although Shiggles never streams. Not that I've been streaming a whole lot lately either. But
Yeah, it's been a bit.
this is the second episode, and I did want to thank you, by the way, for the follow from 4 days ago. Appreciate that, Cipher Main 20. So
Very nice.
yeah, it's super exciting for us. I mean, I have no idea whether or not it's exciting for anybody else, but and by the way, if you have any tips or if you have any questions that you want to throw out there, um, oh, you're the one who made the comments in the YouTube Shorts. Okay, fantastic. I
Oh,
I
nice.
mentioned you at the very beginning of the podcast. I want to. Your interaction is only the second time anyone other than my son has ever interacted with any of my videos. Okay, so I really appreciate you speaking up because I don't even on my own Discord server I get no feedback on anything. I put out polls all the time with no responses, and to have someone actually ask me a question because he did ask a question about whether or not we would recommend like bamboo printers. Okay, um, and I at the moment I can't see why you wouldn't. Okay, outside of the potential ecosystem issues which may or may not come down the line, I still can't find a reason not to recommend a bamboo printer. You know, because personally, I mean, look, I'm getting ready to buy another one if the price on the Elegoo isn't amazing.
Yeah, I mean, they are nice printers. They do their job very well.
Oh, see, look, he can't stop complimenting us. Look, they're very high quality for only a second interaction. You know what? Thank you. I am super.
Nice.
I appreciate that because number one, last week was a nightmare when we were trying to set everything up. But once we
Yeah.
got past it, I think it came out great. Um, And I did try to make the VOD from YouTube interesting. I don't know if you watch the whole thing or you only watch the shorts, but I did try to cut it up. Now, as far as I was using CapCut. Normally, I use DaVinci when I'm editing long form content, but
Mhm.
CapCut actually had this really cool thing where I took the whole form after I edited the full length of it. I drag it over and it automatically cut up shorts, and I could go through them and see if any of them were like decent or interesting.
Yeah.
And the ones I liked, I posted on YouTube. It like
Well,
made
that's pretty
life
cool.
so easy for that part. You saw the beginning of it on. Okay, I don't blame you for not watching the whole thing. It was 2.5 hours. Okay.
It's a very long one, yeah.
I mean, we technically talked for 4 hours, but
Mhm.
between technical difficulties, me losing power, okay, in the middle of
Oh,
it.
yeah.
Yeah, remember that?
Yeah, that was great.
And of course, Shiggles didn't know I lost power initially because I was still talking to him.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Yeah, I don't know, it was at least a couple of minutes into it when you brought it up or something, and it was like, "Oh, yeah. What's going on?"
Yeah, I
Because I
mean,
could still hear you.
yeah, exactly. Well, because I'm running on a uninterrupted power supply for my computer, but the
Yeah.
modem downstairs is not on one. So when the power went out, I lost my connection. But I mean, that was funny. I couldn't stop laughing. Like it was just one more thing. Uh oh,
Yeah, kinda piled on.
we're in commercial. So
No working commer oh,
yeah, I
boy.
just got a thing that ad break in progress. 1 minute and 20 seconds. If you ever
Nice.
get affiliated, we could actually get you some ad breaks. I did get a check from Twitch this month
Oh, yeah?
for $51.
Nice.
Yeah.
For some reason, I had so is $50, like, their bare minimum, you have to hit that or else they don't pay you, or
Well, actually, for a long time it was 150. Okay.
Oh, wow.
And they've lowered it tremendously. I think the threshold now is like 45 or something, but it's
Nice.
45 like after they take out whatever. So
Mhm.
I have mine set at 50, so I never get less than 50. Okay.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
and with ad revenue, it came out to like $51.19 or something like that. It's like the fifth time I've gotten paid by them uh,
Nice.
in the three and a
You're
half
getting
hour,
something.
or the 3 years I've been affiliated.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, I haven't hit that metric yet. Although I do see I just checked my activity feed because it was minimized on my OBS, but yeah, I got one follower on that our first episode.
yeah, I
And it
remember
looks
you
like
got a follower. Yeah.
and then 7 days ago, which would
Oh,
have been last Sunday,
we're
which
back
we
from
didn't
commercial.
stream. Oh, nice. Yeah, but I so I can yeah, old Fusey.
Oh,
Thank you for following.
old Fusey.
And followed without any kind of prompting at all. Cyphermain 20, thank you for the follow as well.
See, I
And
like
my alerts worked. They worked. They always work when I test them, and then of course whenever somebody does live, that's usually when they fail. But that one came off.
the
Yeah, thanks for the follow, man.
the I don't know what to say about the new printers. Like because we're not at a point yet where we're big enough where we get sent printers. So you know,
Mhm.
and there's no way to. I was thinking it'd be amazing if someone set up a service where you could actually like lease some of this stuff temporarily, so you could see whether or not you liked it, and then
Oh yeah.
either turn it into a purchase or turn around and purchase a new one from the actual company. Um,
Mhm.
which I'm surprised about because like there are so many small 3D printing businesses out there. Like if you had a leasing business where someone like paid 6 months for a printer, and then you got it back from them at that point. So or even like 3 months. So they had like a solid 3 months to use it, experiment with it, see if they liked it, that kind of thing. Turn it into either a purchase or they return it and you move on with it. Um, to me, it sounds like that would be an interesting way to go with all the small businesses that are starting with these things, because then the point of entry for a small business would be so much less. You know, you could see whether or
Yeah.
not, number one, you can attract the customers. You can also reduce the cost that you would be paying for the printer. You know, I mean, there's a lot of different ways to go. Plus, you'd be spreading out your payments. You know, if you did decide to buy by doing it that way, also. So,
Yeah, we have something in the city of Fort Collins, which is pretty close to me. There is this cool thing that they do, and I think it is funded at least partially by the city.
hmm
But it's called the Fort Collins Makerspace, I think.
hmm
It's not all 3D printing, but they do have 3D printers there.
hmm
So you can go in. There is a membership you have to pay to be part of it. But they have machines. They have, because I wasn't able to find exact details on filament. Like, do you have to buy filament from them, or is it included with like what you pay to use their 3D printing stuff? But you could bring in whatever you want on SD card or USB drive, whatever,
see
and you
that
can print stuff in their shop on their machine.
that's actually really cool. So it's a
Yeah.
co-op type deal where someone owns it,
hmm
and you don't even. I mean, you're just paying for the time and the electricity more than anything. Um, that's actually wild. Okay, so Cybermain or Cyphermain, I'm sorry, was asking about he's looking to get a small printer. He hasn't done much research, and he doesn't want to mess around with anything serious. What would we recommend? So Shiggles has he went um the super, like entry level bamboo side with the A1 Mini. Okay.
Yep.
And how would you describe your experience? And with what you've had with your experience, would you start with an A1 versus an A1 Mini if you wanted to go
Yeah.
bed slinger?
Yeah. I think at the end of the day, I should have just gone with the A1 instead of the A1 Mini. Um, they have a lot of the same features. They do mostly, I mean, the same thing. They're the same series, and they do operate incredibly similar to each other. Uh, but even though it might not sound like a lot, the difference between a 256 millimeter cube build volume and a 180 millimeter
Mhm.
is actually kind of limiting.
Okay.
Because like what I did, I didn't take into account the whole like issue with prime towers or anything like that.
Mhm.
When I was thinking about it, it was just like I can print to the maximum size of the bed, but that's not always the case with every model.
Mhm.
And yeah, there's limitations on where you can put that prime tower. It can't go all the way to the edge. So it does limit your build volume more from just the size of the plate. So I have 180 millimeters, but most models, I can't use 180 millimeters. It's a little bit shrunk down. So that makes things just a little bit smaller.
Okay, so he had another question. What do I mean by bed slinger? Okay, so I sound like someone who knows what they're talking about. Have no idea what I'm talking about. But listen, the difference when I say bed slinger, what it means is that the bed itself that you're printing on is the moving item. Okay, so it's think of a single arm 3D printer. You have the nozzle that moves side to side, but the printer itself, I mean the bed itself moves forward and backward, okay, to allow for filling in the actual design. Okay. So as it's extruding, the bed is moving backward and forward, the head is moving side to side, okay? And then after each layer, uh at that point the nozzle is moving up away from it. Correct?
Yep.
Yeah, because the bed doesn't go up and down. It's
Nope.
just the nozzle moving upward and sideways, where
Yeah.
the bed moves forward and backward. The uh, on the opposite end of that, the printers that I have are Core XY printers, where the only movement that the bed does is to move down away from the nozzle. Okay, the nozzle itself moves forward, backward in every single direction, along the X and Y axis. With the Z axis, if you want to go with the Canadian and European for Z axis, is the bed itself, and that's moving away. So the nozzle is staying in the same place at the same height, printing the next layer. So those are the major differences between the two. Um, Now with bed slingers, okay, or traditional 3D printers, I'm going to go with traditional 3D printers versus bed slinger when I'm describing this. They're open air, okay, so you're exposed to whatever surrounding environment you have the printer in. Whereas with the a lot of the Core XY printers have enclosures, or you can build enclosures, and that will prevent like drafts from affecting adhesion, layer shifting. Um, Now, I haven't experienced this because I've only owned Core XYs. I have not owned an open traditional 3D printer. So, like when my machines are printing, their breezes don't affect anything. The room temperature really doesn't affect anything because it is mostly enclosed. Because I use PLA, I can't keep it totally enclosed. Otherwise, it wouldn't melt properly. It would over melt. Okay. And nothing would hold its shape. So I have to leave my door open. I've got the top off, but three sides around the bed are closed, which keeps the temperature, pretty standard, pretty solid. Does that answer your question about what a bed slinger is? And while you're thinking about that, um, the there were, I think, okay, FlashForge is another entry level uh, 3D printer, and also Anycubic Cobras would be,
Hmm.
uh, entry level, at least price wise. Now, reliability wise, they haven't yet proven themselves. They don't have quite the reputation that Bamboo has. Um, and like FlashForge is a really good brand for entry level, but it oddly enough they market themselves more for like families and kids than they do for professional 3D printers. Okay, um, they do have some very interesting technology that they incorporate into their printers. I don't know much about them because I have not purchased them. I decided to go industrial with my first printer, which is why I went with a Cheedy. Okay. I wanted to be able to print any material that's on the market. And that's one of the things that that printer can do. I've never done it because I've been afraid to with some of the stuff. But I did use PETG this week, which, for me as a fairly new person in the space, changing materials was a big deal and it felt awesome that it worked. Okay. Not only did it worked really well. Um, So if I get a 3D printer like the A1 or A1 Mini, would I have to worry about fumes? Okay, no, no. Uh, there's a couple things you can do. Uh, there's a couple things you can do to mitigate fumes in the air. Number one, I actually have an air purifier next to both of my printers. Okay, that's designed to scrub the air of an area of 1,000 square feet. Okay, my office is nowhere near that. It's like 150 square feet, but um, uh, that's one thing. Number one, but also PLA in and of itself. If you're only printing with PLA because you want to do just the entry level stuff, PLA is mostly derived from corn, so it doesn't really have all the toxic fumes of some of the others. It's not ABS or ASA or TPU that put out like the voxels and the dangerous chemicals in the air that it's really
Yep.
really bad to breathe in. I mean, I'm sure it's not great to breathe in melted plastic, but because it's corn derived, not oil derived, it's not nearly as toxic. Okay. At least as far as what I've read. And I have not experienced, I've got two printers going right now as we're talking. And I have not experienced like lightheadedness or sick, and nausea or any of the, typical symptoms you get from the type of toxic exposure some of the people have. Um, Loyal Moses, who's another really big 3D printing streamer, he was describing one day how he was using ASA in his office and he wasn't paying attention. Okay. Because, for the most part, he uses PLA and sometimes PETG. And uh, he was feeling really run down, lethargic. He got super dizzy and he thought he was going to pass out. He went and laid down in another room. And within like an hour, he started to feel better. He made the mistake of going back into his printing room, and it got so bad his wife actually thought she was going to have to take him to the emergency room. He had ASA poisoning. Okay, and it was extremely acute, and that's what happens when you breathe in some of the bad fumes. If you're not using any of the toxic materials, like really toxic materials, it's less of a concern. But I mean, it should be a concern no matter what. You should always be concerned with it. But I would not be overly concerned with an open printer that if you're just using basic PLA that's derived from a natural source like corn, you know, uh, petroleum based, I'd be far more concerned.
Yeah, PLA is pretty safe all the way around.
Yeah. Uh, I mean, even my air scrubber that I'm using, it talks to my phone, and I have it on the lowest possible setting, and it's always green as far as the air quality. So, I mean, that's about the best I can tell you. I've got two of them running right next to it, and it never changes color, ever.
Yeah, I wouldn't worry about PLA. I don't even think PETG, unless you're doing like if you were running it constantly and doing a lot of big stuff,
Yeah.
I think maybe PETG can give off a little bit of toxic fumes, but it's not. It's generally considered to be fine for open air printing in general.
Mhm.
And then I think the same thing. I haven't looked at TPU actually. I've been looking at maybe getting some TPU to try
Oh
some
my god, I
prints with
want to
that.
print something in TPU so
Yeah.
badly because of its flexibility. But that's another one that concerns me. Like, I would have to wait, and it's hard for me to find a day that's number one low in humidity and number two cold, because it's just that's the day I would have the windows open if I decide to use TPU. I'd have to plan
Yeah.
it for my weather or a day when I'm out of the house, and I'd put like a fan in front of the window to then exhaust fumes out of the room, so that when I came back, it was, everything would be fine. But I mean, in general, I just wouldn't. I don't. I'm so happy using PLA for the most part. Like, I don't have massive desires to use other stuff, but TPU is definitely one I do want to try just because of the flexibility.
Yeah,
Um,
same here. I want to get it like an actual feel for it, print something in it so that I can feel how it is once it's printed, and then I can kind of figure out what I would want to use it for, or
mhm.
just do I do a couple of little things that are fun.
The and as far as like answering your questions, one of the reasons why we decided to do this podcast was because we, as brand new to 3D printing, know how difficult it is sometimes to get answers. Number two, wanted to share our experiences week by week as we try new stuff, and you know share the uh like the interest and excitement of someone who's new to 3D printing. And if we could actually get someone interested, that would be great. And we just went to commercial. He did not hear the end of that at all, so it's
I went to
fantastic.
commercial.
So
Damn.
when he's actually asking that, when we're going to do episode 3, so it's either going to be next week or the week after, I don't know. But I guess we'll answer that in 43 seconds.
That's right.
Oh my god, so funny.
Oh, he says he did hear that.
Oh, you
Nice.
did? Oh, okay. I'm looking at my thing. It says there's an ad break going on right now. So
That's that weird thing about Twitch ad breaks. I think if you don't schedule them yourself, they might
mhm.
just play at different times for different viewers.
Oh, well, that's
But I
possible.
almost I almost wonder if they just do it based on watch time.
Mm,
And it's like once you've watched a channel for so long, it just goes like bam and throws in like some ads for you. Because I know they can definitely do that because they have like pre-roll ads on almost everybody's stuff.
hmm
So it's like obviously they can track how long you're streaming or how long you've been watching. Because if you're brand new in there, then it's like, oh, here you get ads that nobody else sees.
Yeah,
And
it
then I
is.
think that's one of the benefits, isn't it, of doing the scheduled ad breaks is that you can, if you run ads yourself at
Mhm.
certain times, you can turn off the pre-rolls, which makes people more likely to stay.
Well, and if you're playing a game, okay, like Apex, you
Oh,
want
well,
to you
so did we want to do? Do we want to do next week for episode 3? Because
uh
I'd be down for next Sunday.
yeah, I'm available because actually, next Sunday is actually really good for me because
Oh, there you go.
my wife and daughter, my daughter has a dance competition next Sunday, and my wife and daughter are going to be staying out of town for that competition, and then coming back
Oh,
late that
okay.
night. So yeah, I mean, next Sunday's totally fine for me.
Yeah, we could do that then. So yeah, the next one will be, oh, what is that? It's gonna be the 23rd, right?
Yes, 7 days from now is the 23rd. So yeah, we'll have
23rd.
episode 3 next week. That's cool. Um, let me think. Oh my god, there's so much stuff I want to talk about. It's hard for me to sit there and really just ugh,
Pick one.
like nail
Grab
down.
one topic and
Yeah.
pick it and just it.
Okay, so I did experience some weird stuff with my bamboo this week, and it's not a negative thing on
Oh,
bamboo. Okay, it's got to be a software glitch. Um, let's see. Oh, okay. No, you have a good night too, and yes, we will be on next Sunday. So see you then. Thanks for stopping by.
yeah. Have a
Um,
good one, man.
so uh, I was printing out this Pokemon chessboard. No idea why. Okay, because I'm not going to print out the Pokemon pieces.
Nice, yeah.
Oh, a hydrate. Okay, so there you go. I'll do a hydrate real quick, and I guess my alerts are working.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Anyway, so I'm printing out this board, and okay, I'm slouching. I admit it, but I was leaning on my my armrest. All right,
Posture check.
I'll sit up. I'm sitting up. Okay. um, so the for some reason, when you're using the AMS system, it won't automatically switch to another color unless you have it set to auto refill, like when you run out of that color, and it'll only
Yeah.
do it if it's the same color, right? So
Yes.
for whatever reason, when I ran out of black, I had fallen asleep, and I, figured if it runs out of black, I'll just load it up in the morning. Not a big deal. I wake
Mhm.
up, the thing's done printing, and where black should be is blue.
Oh boy.
Okay. I'm gonna show it to you in a minute, but I can't express to you my confusion when I woke up and saw this, because legitimately, when you run out of something, it's supposed to stop. Okay.
Hmm.
And whatever this glitch was, I have no idea what my printer was thinking. I have no idea what the software was thinking. Yeah, but it went straight from matte black to blue. Okay.
Weird.
And I did not finish printing the board because I've printed other things in the interim. I have to go back and reprint now that board that printed up with the blue because it will not match the other pieces once they're all
Oh
printed.
yeah.
Um, but I just sat there like, what, what's going on? I'm gonna take
That's
my
funny
ears
because
out
I
real quick so
thought.
I can reach it. Just hold on one sec.
Okay. I want to see this. I haven't had to do any of that yet.
Okay, one ear back in.
I
If
have a
my head
cat. I have a cat trying to break into my room. Doesn't like that the door is closed.
spawns of Satan. Okay, so here's the first one. Print out really nice, super clean. Okay, love it.
Very nice.
So I fell asleep while it started this next one, and this is what printed.
Oh, look at that.
Like, are you kidding me?
Yeah, it's not going to go with the other one.
Like, I mean, even if I try to line, here, hang on, let me. Can't do it upside down. Okay, look how dumb this looks.
Oh. Well, you could try to make a second one like that and put it in the other corner. So then you have an extra checkerboard effect
I
between
don't.
black and blue.
I just. I don't think it goes together in any way.
Yeah.
I would like. Wow.
That's weird because I thought there was some special option you had to check if you wanted to try and run different colors one after the other.
There is,
'Cause
and
I know
I've
that
never done it. And
yeah, because I know I've seen people do it when they're like, yeah, if you're just gonna paint something and you've got like all these little like leftover bits on spools,
Mhm.
you can just throw them in your AMS and then you have to go through something and so it doesn't just it'll still do the run out process, but it won't stop because the colors don't match. Because even mine, I tried to do that with a couple of mine, and it worked on well, actually, it would have worked both of them because I had 3 different whites. I had a little bit of that bamboo white that you got me for my
Yeah.
first roll,
Hmm.
and I had, I think, a little bit more of the Sunlu white that I had that I kinda don't like it, so I was just trying to get rid of it when I was printing this, reptile hide thing for my daughter,
Hmm.
because that has to be sealed too. It's gonna have to be, like, primered all over and stuff so it doesn't just decay into the substrata in her reptile cage.
Right.
And then I had the new roll of white that I have, and I was like, "Well, I'm sure it's gonna use both of these, like, little bits left on these other spools." And the first change, it did fine. It just switched right over. It switched from the Sunlu to the bamboo. But then switching from the bamboo to the eSun roll that I have, it ran out just as it was trying, or no, I remember. It didn't hit the runout sensor because bamboo tapes the ends to the
Yes.
cores.
Uh-huh.
So instead of triggering the, like, I'm out of filament, it alarmed out for filament stuck.
Hmm.
So I had to go over and I pulled it off and then I clipped off the little end of it that had the tape on it.
Hmm.
And then there was just not quite enough in there that once it was done doing its purge to reload filament, it made it just past the motor in the AMS. So then it couldn't push it anymore. So it kept saying that it was out of filament, even though that whole track was full. And then it wouldn't actually make it far enough in to trip the filament runout sensor.
Okay.
And I even tried, like, sticking the eSun roll, like taking that piece of filament and just backing it into the tube with it to see
Hmm.
if it would make it, but it was too close to the end of that motor where it couldn't grip the new one
Hmm.
because the old one was still just barely kind of in the teeth. So I never got it to work on that one. So now I have like a foot and a half of bamboo white that I don't have any use for.
I have a green that I'm never gonna use again. It's just
Oh, yeah.
it's just off to the side. It's never gonna get touched.
Is is it just a terrible color?
Yeah, I mean it doesn't go with anything. I would have
Mm.
to have such a specific print to use it for, and it would have to be small because there's not a ton of it left. Um, just like I have 2 boxes of clear Sunlu that I may never use because I hate the Sunlu filament so much. It may never go in my printer again.
Yeah.
I mean, just being 100% honest. I had so many failures with the first couple Sunlus that I tried using that I just abandoned the brand completely. I mean,
Yeah.
just I can't even express how much annoyance I got from using their filament. And I know a lot of people give them like massive praise.
Yeah,
I
there's people that love it.
Yeah, and I thought I was using a premium brand. That's why I bought it. Okay.
Mhm.
Then I tried the Polymaker stuff, and it was like, oh well, forget the Sunloop because the Polymaker stuff rarely fails unless you're using a silk. But silks in general are very unreliable. I've found.
Yeah, they're just kind of, they're finicky and stringy. I kind of
Yeah,
feel like no matter what brand you get, they're going to be kind of like that.
yeah,
The only brand I haven't tried that gets decent reviews though for silks specifically is Bamboo's.
yeah. I haven't tried their silks either. I do like some of the colors. I'm not gonna lie. Do I
Yeah,
definitely like some
they
of the
have some
colors?
good colors.
Yeah. Actually, for Christmas, my brother and my wife both bought me different colored um Polymaker marbles. Okay. So I
Huh.
have like a light blue marble, I have a dark red marble, and I have the white marble. And I haven't used them on anything yet. I just haven't figured out the right thing to use it on. But I do
Mhm.
have multiple different marbles that I do have and I'd like to try. I just haven't found the right application yet. Um have you let's see. You've been doing a lot of stuff with HueForge. Um
Mhm.
have you or I should I'm trying to figure out how to word this. Okay, when you are using HueForge and you're let's say you wanted to do a movie poster, okay?
Okay.
Um is each layer that you're creating is it a unique color or can it blend colors so that when you print you don't have to use like 12 different colors to make something?
Well, you can make however many colors you want,
Mhm.
so you can limit yourself that way. Are you using like color match mode?
I have barely used it. Okay. One of the reasons that
Okay.
stopped me from using it is because I think I'm having trouble wrapping my head around getting it to look the way I want it. Like I've seen some super elaborate looking Hue Forge designs people have put up there, and I don't
Hmm.
understand how they get there. Like because when I was using it, once I went to like a third color, it got very muddied and I just couldn't make it look the way I wanted. And that was only three colors in. So like I haven't spent as much time with it as I know I need to. But at the same time, I'm just trying to understand how like how some of that stuff works.
Yeah, it has a really steep learning curve. I'm still figuring out a lot of it myself too. Um, and the images, like your starting image, can have a big impact depending on the brightness between the different colors, like how much contrast there is,
Mm-hmm.
can sometimes really affect how it comes out.
Yeah.
But if you get into like you can't do multiple colors in the same layer in HueForge, it's always going to be solid color layers.
Okay.
And the point oh 0.08 layer height is, from what I've found, like really good at blending, unless you have super opaque filaments. But there's really no way to know exactly how opaque it is. From what I've heard too from other people is that do a lot of it, like the Neokoi Prince channel, is even if it's saved in the filament library in HueForge and it says the transmission distance is this, sometimes you can get a roll that has a different transmission distance, even though it's the same brand, it's the same color.
Mm.
And the only way to know for sure is there's one guy, I don't remember who it is, but he's made it's like a digital reader that you can put a little strand of filament into,
Yeah.
and it will measure the transmission distance for you.
Okay.
Because there is like when you download HueForge, somewhere in those files, there are also files to print test slides. I don't know exactly what do they call them. It's like a card or something, but you can use either a black or a white that is in the HueForge library,
Mm-hmm.
and then you pair it with a second color that you want to test transmission distance. And you print this little tester, and it tells you how to read it. It basically layers on a certain number of layers in each little window to
Right.
show you like this is the difference. And then judging on where it transitions from a blended color to, okay, from this little tile on, all of these are the same color. That means that's the maximum transmission distance.
Okay.
So it's like a lot of printing and kind of measuring and looking at things yourself. And I haven't actually done them yet. I've kind of stuck to the ones that are in the filament library already because it sounds like a lot of work. And I generally do try to keep it to like 4 colors just so it's easier to print in my AMS
Right.
for those things. But I've done some that are, I think, 5 or 6, and I'll just swap out the first 2 colors as they finish with the different uh, the later ones. But yeah, you can. One of the things I also did that kind of helped some of my pictures was you don't have to use each color just once. So if you're putting in your layers and it's like, well, now this is looking, it's not doing what I want it to do. If you've already used black, like usually you start with black, but you can absolutely put black in later at a different layer height. So it's separated out and it can, like, you can use that to darken whatever's going to be on top of it.
Mm-hmm.
Or you can use white in the same way. Like if things are turning out like really dark and really muddy,
Right.
you can try throwing in some white, like even just a layer or two sometimes kind of helps to drown out the black behind it and give whatever color you put on top of it some more pop.
I got you. Okay. That's probably what. Yeah. I I have there's so much stuff I want to do and I have such a finite amount of time to do some of it.
Yeah.
That's one of the reasons why I just haven't dove into HueForge even though I can see, where the benefit is and I can see you know, how it would do so many things that I want to do, but man, it's just there's so much stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, this is definitely the most complicated hobby that I've ever taken on in my life because there's
Yeah,
so
it
many
really
different
is.
things. Um, like even photography, I didn't find anywhere near as challenging as this.
Yeah, and it's one of those that's like, I don't know. I think it's trying to look at the spelling right now for this guy's. Yeah, it's Neokoi Prince, which is just how it sounds. Neokoi.
Hmm.
But he does. I think his tutorials are a little bit easier to follow than the actual QForge program writers tutorials are.
You wouldn't surprise me with that one.
It's like I know the guy. Obviously, he wrote the program. He knows how it works, but he is not as good at explaining it to you as this other guy is. And he's just a user. He's just used it a lot, and he uses it for like a lot of his artwork that he creates is designed specifically to be printed as a HueForge.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at some of the stuff on his channel right now. Yeah, some of that stuff looks like exactly the what I'm trying to, or what I'm picturing in my head that I'd love to make happen.
Mhm. And I know he's got tutorials that are kind of more generalized, but he also has ones that are specific to both color pop and color match.
I
I'm
love
still
how
trying to get color match to work the way I want it to too, though. It is pretty difficult
I love
because you
how
have to build it twice almost.
his background, it looks like every other 3D printer's actual background, with a billion rolls of
Yeah,
filament
just
on
walls of filaments.
it.
Yeah, he's the one. Like he was the one that I was saying on our last podcast. That he was like, "Hey, try and find a tester, like a tester bundle or whatever from somebody, because they really don't. I mean, usually a maximum size that I can print, is 180 by 180. But if I print a Hue Forge that size, generally speaking, when it's all said and done, it's like under 60 grams.
Yeah, they don't use a ton of filament.
Mm-mm. They're super light on it, and that was his advice for people that were like, well, I want to use all these colors, but I don't see myself using these colors for anything but Hue Forges. So I don't want to buy a kilo of it. And I've been there too. I mean, I see so many people that use Bamboo's blue gray and space grays.
Hmm.
And it's like, they look great, but like, especially the blue gray on its own doesn't look great. Like if you were to just print a regular model out of it,
Right.
but it looks awesome in Hue Forges. And I just don't want to buy a whole kilogram of that stuff.
Okay. So that's funny. All right. So the Super Bowl was last weekend, right? So
Mhm.
I hosted a party, okay,
Yeah.
and I was gonna I printed out these Kansas City Chief, okay,
Mm.
arrowheads, which came out beautiful, okay. But I was gonna print out the Philadelphia Eagle logo also and put them on display. I didn't have any silver or gray, so
Oh.
I didn't. Okay, like because
Mhm.
didn't have any use for it other than that, And it's
Mhm.
like now I'm starting to think to myself, maybe I should stock a gray or even two grays, two different levels, because there might be something that I want to print that has gray in it, so I might as well, but like I didn't have any, and I actually had a specific need for one and didn't have it in stock. And then there was an inspiration. Um, when I went ahead and ordered three different shades of gray. Okay. And I know it
Oh, okay.
sounds ridiculous to do that, but I came across a video that Loyal Moses did where he found someone on Maker World, and I found it also, where they actually have Nintendo cartridge storage. Okay. That
Oh.
is in, it's designed to look like the original NES in its base color and scheme. Okay, but it holds
Mhm.
all the cartridges. It's even shaped to the shape of the cartridges, so it's not like
Yeah.
squared off. It's tapered off so that it fits exactly the cartridges to slide in. But the color scheme, it looks like you're plugging into just like a super tall like Nintendo. Okay, and you need like three different grays to do it. So I was like, okay, I could use it for that. And I wrote to the guy to find out if he does licensing, and his license is absolutely ridiculous. But um, I may still end up doing it if I found people who were interested in it, because the product in and of itself, you know, the way he designed it, the fact that it fits the cartridges perfectly, okay, so that they don't rattle, they don't move. Once you put them in, they're
Mhm.
in, okay, is cool. But the fact that he made it look like the original system, okay, color wise, is just awesome. And I'm actually kind of amazed. As good as it looks, that Nintendo hasn't done like a strike order or something, because it doesn't look like their system, but color wise, if you know the original Nintendo system, it is, like perfectly designed for it. It's got red in the right places. It's got the different grays, and just the layout in general. It's legitimately like you're storing this super tall NES system with, and I think it
Yeah.
holds like 10 games for each stack. So, and he did the same thing for N64 and Game Boy games, Game Boy Colors. Like he's got a bunch of different ones, and he charges like $150 each for each license.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So meanwhile, I can be on STL Flicks for what is it, $10 a month or something like that, and have commercial licenses for everything on there.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it's definitely a thing to consider, but
Not that
maybe
anyone has
about
bought anything from it.
150, it's like it can be a really good model, but am I going to sell enough of them to justify that
Yeah,
cost?
I mean that's a lot for a single model. You know, like if it was for his entire library, I might consider it. Okay,
Hmm.
but for a single model, that's insane to me because I'd have to sell so many of them just to make that money back. And
Yeah, it's a big ask.
I don't even know that I could find that niche market to sell that many of those, you know.
Yeah, that's true.
All right. So, let's see. Uh what are you like me in that you plan like your next 5 models that you're going to print ahead of time, or do you print one and then go searching for another one?
I'm definitely one at a time.
Oh, okay. Okay.
I've been having trouble finding things lately that I want to print for myself,
Hmm.
even though I know I want other things, definitely that I can display and stuff like that. But I feel like I come across something that's not quite what I want,
Mm-hmm.
and then I'll just search for something else, or I'll be like, ah, well, maybe I won't do that just yet. Maybe I'll have to design something or remix something from somebody else.
Do you think that that's because you're using the A1 Mini, and if you had the A1, you'd print more stuff?
I think I would honestly, because especially the stuff like the shelf brackets or the little octagon shelves, that was a big one. That's like, damn, this is something I really do want to do, but I don't know if I can actually do it on this printer. At the end of the day, if I really wanted to, I could, I guess, just scale them up and split them. But then,
Structural integrity becomes an issue.
yeah, it's one of those things where it's like, and then how well can I mate them back together? Like, are they going to look nicer? Because part of the appeal of those little hexagon shelves, I think, is that they're seamless.
Right.
Whereas if they had like a really clear, like bisecting line through the center of them,
Mm-hmm.
I think that might take away quite a bit from it.
I had I had a feeling because like when I'm looking at the stuff I'm going to print, I have a tendency to download like 5 and 6 models in a row, and
Hmm.
I just have them waiting, and I that way, since the printers I have are so expensive, like to me if they're not working, then I've wasted my money, you know.
Yeah.
So I just have them constantly going, and the some of the stuff I give away to my students, um, like the thing for my father-in-law, that almost 4 days worth of work on that thing. Okay,
Yeah.
um, like with 4 days waiting for that thing to finish, I have to figure out what I'm going to be printing next. Otherwise, I'm just going
Hmm.
nuts, Um, and like even the multi-board prints, the PETG multi-board prints, those took so long because those were like 22 hours or something like that to print.
Oh wow.
Um, because they're 9 by 9 stacks. I mean, they take up a lot of space. Um, the I had to sit there, and once they were going, I was saying to myself, man, I do not want to waste the PETG because I'd have to go through the process of drying it. So like I had to
Hmm.
find another thing in PETG that I could print. And then I'm like, well, I need to find something else in PETG that I can print. And thinking about it now, as we're talking, the part that I printed for my P1S,
Hmm.
I'm gonna need to print another one of these.
Oh yeah, if you get another P1S, you need one.
It just occurred to me I need to print another one of these, and I'm looking. That's gonna finish around midnight. I have enough. There's enough there. I can definitely print at least one more of these. Um, and like I've been concerned as to whether or not the PETG was gonna like. I don't know how fast it soaks up moisture, but it's super humid here. So
Yeah.
uh, I think it's supposed to be in a room that's less than 20% humidity, or around 20% humidity, and I'm at 55. Okay.
Hmm.
So I'm sitting here just watching it constantly to see if it's going to start breaking down or stop working. Um,
Hmm.
and so far, my toothpick holders are looking gorgeous. Okay. I'm not going to lie.
Very nice.
Actually, let me see if I can. I never even thought about that. Let me see if I can pull up that on my stream. I wonder if I can. Let's
It's
see.
like the picture from the finished item.
Well, no, it's printing right now, so I want to see if I can actually.
Oh yeah.
Let's see.
So I could technically probably try and do that with mine, but you know,
Well,
the A1 Mini's camera is one of its major downfalls as well. It's awful.
oh, okay. The one for the P1S is no prize winner. Believe me.
There's no price.
Um, the one for the Cheaty is actually much nicer than the bamboo one, and it's in a better spot. Like it's at
Yeah,
a
I
three
I
quarter angle
watched
looking
one.
down. Okay,
Mm,
versus the bamboo one, which is looking straight ahead. And so once
yeah,
something of a certain height goes, you lose the model. Okay.
yeah.
Like
You can see the printhead the whole time.
okay, so like the little dinosaur, right? I've got
Hmm.
two orange ones of this that just finished printing, like legitimately right now finished printing. They're not on camera anymore. Okay, so there's
Yeah,
no
because
way
it's
you saw the
dropped.
end of
The
that.
plate's dropped.
Yeah, there's no way you saw the end of that thing. But here, let me see if I can pull this up. Let's see. We'll just call this Cheaty.
Yeah, I watched. I don't know if it was a review or if it was just like a first impressions kind of video from somebody about the Cheaty, the Plus 4. And that was the first thing I noticed is when they were doing their B-roll that they put on there. And it was like, oh yeah, here's it printing, and they were talking about print quality and stuff. And I was like, that camera is much nicer than the bamboo ones. Like the
Okay.
angle's better, the quality of the image is better too. Because it's
Prefer.
like for that one, you could actually do time lapses with the built-in camera. You wouldn't have to go through all the trouble to get yourself a different camera.
Yeah, I've gotten some pretty good time lapses with that one. It's not as sharp as the camera for the X1 Carbon.
Mm.
Supposedly that camera is amazing to watch. Okay. Um, but I just tried to pull it up on my stream, and I guess proprietarily they're blocking the image, so it just came out white on
Oh,
my stream. Uh, but like, it takes a little bit longer if you're going to set up a real time lapse because
hmm.
the head pulls back all the way to the back, and then it snaps an image, and then it
Yep.
starts printing again, and it keeps doing that. Those are those when you see those time lapses on like YouTube and stuff, where you never see the head move, you just see the object being built. That's how those
Yeah.
work, where the head just moves out of the way, snaps a picture, and then it keeps going. Um, and you're adding for an average print probably an extra like 10 minutes onto your print minimum, just from the head taking itself back and not being in the image.
Yeah,
uh,
because it's got to do it each layer.
right. And if you have like 1,000 layers, it's got to do it 1,000 times. Okay.
I did
But
see some guy too that was doing like I was curious because he was putting up time lapses in his video, and everything he was printing was one color, but he had a prime tower, and the prime tower was the whole height of the model as well.
mhm.
And I even asked you, like, oh, well, actually, I was gonna ask in a comment because I was just like, why are you using a prime tower? Is there something I was thinking like that I don't know? Does having a prime tower so that it can purge something every now and then make better like, layer qualities or something? And it was just because it was simpler to do that to do time lapses instead of having the head like go park whenever
Hmm.
it took an image. It was easier for him for whatever he was using that he would just add a prime tower, and then that way it would take a picture while it was doing the prime tower every time.
Well, if you do in the bamboo slicer, if you change it from traditional to smooth on the time lapse, it puts a prime tower in there
Oh,
automatically.
okay.
Okay, instead of it's the opposite with the cheaty. If you put smooth in, that's when the head goes back and stops. Otherwise, it just keeps recording while it's printing. Okay, so you have the
Hmm.
option. There's traditional where you see the head moving all over the place and going crazy,
Yep.
um, or is smooth and it doesn't do a prime tower on the cheaty. Okay, it just moves back and resets itself. Um, but with the bamboo one, it puts a prime tower in and it just extrudes for like a half second while it takes a picture. Now,
Nice.
it's my understanding, and I don't know how this works, but a lot of people have figured out um, with the traditional. No, I'm sorry, with the smooth, when it resets in the back, you can actually hook up a DSLR or your phone to a sensor that's back there that will trigger a picture from a much better device. Okay, so that you can
Yeah.
get much better time lapses. Okay, um, I have not tried it, but it's my understanding you can do it.
Yeah, I've heard you can do that. It's I didn't know I wasn't sure you could do it with a phone. Otherwise I might have looked into it. I saw that people were using DSLRs for it and I was like, well, that doesn't apply to me.
You know
I'm
how I
not
know?
gonna buy a DSLR.
You know how I know you can use a phone?
Hmm.
Because people have printed out the arms to hold the phones in place on the side of your printer.
Oh yeah.
So I know you can do it.
There you go. I might actually look into that and do like to try and just do one time lapse and see how it goes. Although on a bed slinger, I don't know if it would be worth it because it's going to have to move the head to the side and also the bed to the same position each time if I wanted to do a smooth time lapse. Because otherwise, the bed changing position is going to ruin your time lapse.
Yeah, with a bed slinger, it would be far more complicated. Actually, the
Mhm.
best one in general would be the what are they called? The really tall ones, the Delta printers,
Oh yeah,
like the F1s.
because it's just the head that moves.
Yeah, I
Nothing
mean,
else does.
yeah, the bed does not move in any way, shape, or form. It's doing everything and moving up out of the way. Like
Hmm.
like if you went F, let me tell you something. If an F1 Pro, I mean an F what T1 Pro had multi material capabilities, I'd be all over that thing. I would be all over that thing. Uh,
Is that the one that they make that's just super fast?
okay, so that's the one that they released right before Christmas.
Hmm.
That was it's on the less expensive side. It's sub 500. Okay. Um, but yeah, it's super fast and it's quieter than the one that came out before it. Then there's the S1 Pro, which is S stands for super expensive. Um,
Super expensive.
because it jumps from sub 500 to plus like 1200 or something, whatever the
Ooh,
case is.
yeah.
Like and it's a monstrous machine. Like you could put it on the floor and it's probably as tall as my bamboo is on the table.
Mhm.
It is huge. Uh,
Yeah, I don't remember which model it was, but I think it was either Frankly Built or the Next Layer, one of those two guys. I think it was Frankly Built
he hates
that
those.
had one. Yeah, he hated
He
it. It was
hates
like he had nothing nice to say about it.
Frankly Built has so much hatred for FL Sun. Oh my gosh. There's I mean,
It just that struck me. I was like, well, at least he's honest, but he was just like, I cannot get this thing to print anything. It's
yeah,
like
no,
it fails
he's like
everything it does.
his reactions, okay? Like he is very disorganized with his videos, okay? And not necessarily to his detriment. He still puts on a very interesting video. But
Hmm.
having said that, his expressions sometimes, especially when he gets frustrated, are fantastic. When he was talking about the FL Sun, he's like, I want it to work. I would love it
Yeah,
to work. I have written them emails begging them to tell me how to make it work. It doesn't work. I mean,
yeah, it
like
doesn't work.
him stopping, looking at the camera, and just shaking his head like it doesn't work. It won't work. It don't. Oh my god, I could watch that over and over.
At
Oh
least
my.
then you know it's a genuine reaction. Like it's not just and it I'm especially for the one that was more affordable. It's like that's a good thing to even have out there because I'm sure that the reputation of those Delta printers being so fast has made people interested in them.
Hmm.
And if they all of a sudden, they're not researching a whole lot, but they're just doing a little bit of poking around. And then they see that they have one model that's significantly cheaper.
Hmm.
And it's like, oh my God, well, this thing, maybe I'll use this. It'll be my first like really fast printer I get. But then they pull the trigger on it and it's awful and it doesn't work and it constantly fails prints. And it's like, I was irritated with my A1 Mini for a while when it was doing that, and it wasn't a lasting issue, and it didn't start off that way. So it's not like it just never worked.
Hmm.
It worked really great for like the first 3 weeks. I don't think I had a single problem with that machine. And then since then, it's been pretty good too. It's just a little bit more maintenance now. I did also get, and I haven't been able to test this yet, so I will have an update on episode 3.
Okay.
But somebody in the Loyal Moses Discord recommended this plastic repellent paint. And so I bought it from Amazon because for some reason I went to the website of the actual manufacturer
Hmm.
and they wouldn't process my payment. It just kept saying that there was a problem.
Plastic for
And
what? What is plastic repellent paint for?
you paint the bottom of your nozzle with it. Because the two issues that I have occasionally with the Mini are one, bed adhesion, which is frustrating because you're not supposed to put anything on those textured PEI plates
Hmm.
because they don't, being textured, they don't have quite as much grip as a smooth plate would. So if you use something like glue stick, then it can make it so that they're a little bit too slick into it, and it might help with the first layer going down. But then your print might have the issue of it trying to lift into the print a little ways,
Hmm.
which I didn't want. They recommend that you just like scrub those things super clean. So I've been doing that, and it's a process, but I've been scrubbing that thing clean almost every time I print with it. But the other one was I would see it would do its little nozzle cleaning thing, and it would have just a really small thread or something of filament left on it
Hmm.
that it wouldn't pick up for whatever reason. And that would stick to the first layer as it was putting it down, and it would start dragging it like sideways across the plate. So it's like it would grab an edge and like pull a corner in, or it would grab like on a side somewhere, put like this big weird divot into it.
Huh.
So it was messing it up that way. And I was like, well, that's not bed adhesion. It's sticking fine. It's just that it doesn't clean the nozzle properly. And it'll have like just a little clump or a little
Tell me
string
about
on
it.
it.
Tell me
And it
about it.
messes it up.
Okay.
Yeah.
Tell me about it.
Mhm.
Okay. But the A1 and the A1 Mini do have these rubber things which the P series does not have.
Yeah,
That's
they have
why,
that on them.
okay, I don't know that they're placed properly, but they have it.
Mhm.
That's why I had to print this stupid thing because it doesn't have it. It only has just the tubing, okay,
Yep.
which it's fine for breaking somewhat, but it's round, so it doesn't
Mhm.
snap it off, and it doesn't,
Yeah.
the cheating one actually has a really interesting method for how it does it. It has a lever, okay, that is pushed back when the head goes in place, and that pushes
Mhm.
forward the ejection thing, okay? So it's
Yep.
leaning forward like this, and it's a just a square cutout of metal, right? So then when the head moves forward, the thing snaps back and cuts off the filament, okay?
Yep.
So there is no drag whatsoever. And then it goes through and it cleans itself on a rubber strip just like this, or a silicone strip just like this. And then it has another thing, another flat thing that it drags across just in case there's any stringing left over. So it does like a
Hmm.
double, so I never have anything stuck to that one. On the other hand, okay, and I was just looking over at my P1S and I can see the poop tray is clogged up again.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
That's stuck.
So I have to reach around the back and pull the stuff out. But when it's running, okay, you can't get up in there. You have to, because you have to poke the stuff down that gets stuck near the top. That's one of the reasons
Yeah.
why I have this, is because if it doesn't let it go early enough, it just stays trapped. near the top, and then it starts to make a giant clump. Like
Yep.
it's like a cat with a fur ball. It's just
Mhm.
I had a big one, like a golf ball size one, fall on a print,
Oh.
and I didn't know it was doing. Like I think I was playing Fortnite at the time. Okay, and all of a sudden I hear, and I look over, and there's just this cat sick up all over all over my bed, golf ball sized thing of filament waste.
Yeah, that's rough. Yeah,
Oh,
the A1 series has a better nozzle cleaner, but it's like it's never at the tip. That's the thing that bothers me. It has a similar system to that Cheaty too, where it's like a little flap that'll wipe back and forth across it.
hmm.
But I feel like it's not quite close enough. Like the tolerance isn't as tight. So it still leaves a little bit of gap between the nozzle and that little wiper.
Okay.
So if it's just a single string of filament that's down,
Hmm.
it will catch it. But if there's a little piece of it left, instead of like snapping it off, it'll just like push it sideways. So it
Okay.
sticks sideways off of it.
Hmm.
And then when it goes through the little wiper, it'll push it off the very tip, but it's still stuck to the nozzle. It's just a little bit up from the extruder end. And it's just enough, like if it just moves the right way, it will catch something. But that plastic repellent paint, you're supposed to be able to paint the bottom of that nozzle with it, and it should make it so that it can't really stick to the metal anymore.
Right.
And that way it makes the wiper and the cleaner more effective because instead of adhering to a metal surface, it's this painted surface that plastic just won't stick to. It's like a release film basically that you're putting on it.
I got you.
So I was looking at it and I was like, that's like the same shit that I used to have to use at Vestas all the time. I'd paint all the molds with it every day.
I don't
Just a
know.
smaller scale. So I have a little bottle of it that came in. I had to order it from Amazon, but it's the same brand that he recommended. It was actually the same price on Amazon as it was from them directly. I'm not sure. I mean, Amazon takes a cut, but apparently it's not that big of a cut or something.
Yeah, there's a
But I have it and I'm going to use it. I'm going to throw it on my nozzle probably tomorrow. And then I will try. I mean, it doesn't do it every time. It's one of those things that's weird. It's because it doesn't happen all the time.
Mhm.
I'm going to have to use it for at least a week. I'm going to try and print more stuff next week to just get through some more prints and see, like, does it ever stick? Does this take care of my issues for the most part? Because I've also noticed that when it fails print sometimes, it's hard to tell whether it was just bed adhesion didn't happen
Mhm.
or if it did have a little piece stuck on the nozzle that clung and then it ripped up a corner or something. It's super hard unless you're watching it as it happens to tell. So I almost wonder if I use that stuff, is it going to take care of almost all my problems? I will find out.
um okay, so I found an interesting model that I ended up printing. I want to say like the day before the Super Bowl. And
Mhm.
I liked it so much, I turned around and ended up buying a second of the thing that I'm using it for. So, I have a Stream Deck XL and I have a Stream Deck Plus. Okay.
Uh-huh.
The Stream Deck Plus, I bought the USB plug-in for the back of it. Okay. So,
Oh yeah.
uh, you can't really do much with it because it stands up on its own, and with that USB in the back, there's not much you can do with it. But with the Stream Deck, I actually found that I didn't love the horizontal angle that it was taking. Okay. Like
Hmm.
it's wide and it was pitched back at a certain angle and makes it difficult to use the buttons properly. I was searching through models on Maker World one day and I came across a vertical mount for the Stream Deck. So if you reorient the buttons so that they face, vertical, like tall rather than, portrait rather than landscape,
Yeah.
um, this thing actually pitches them forward a little bit more and makes the buttons far more accessible. I liked it so much, I bought a second Stream Deck XL. So now I have
Oh
one
wow.
on either side of my keyboard in the vertical position, and it's so much more comfortable. I can't even express to you how much better it makes this as a tool. Okay.
You have so many buttons now.
Well, I mean, for a while I was using an iPad for like all of the Discord sound drops. Like if I
Yeah.
um like if I ever wanted
Get down on your knees and tell me you love me.
okay, so like that was fine, but then if I wanted a functionality having to do with the stream or with something else, then I'd have to go to the stream deck. And so like I had them back and um or I could just use the Excel and have multiple pages. But that's a pain in the butt too, because you
Mhm.
have to remember what page everything's on. Um,
Yep.
and doing it this way, where I control all my volumes through the Stream Deck Plus, because that one has knobs and things like that. But then, like changing scenes, having the soundboards, and they've added a new functionality to it. I don't know if you are aware of this, okay? But on the Stream Deck, you can actually take it has loaders for your Steam games. Okay. So
Oh
like
wow.
if I want to play Apex, I hit the Apex button, it automatically opens up Steam and opens up Apex. Same thing for Hitman, Mortal Kombat, Speedrunners. Josh has got me playing CS2. Okay.
Nice.
I've been playing CS2, and if I must say, I've been amazing at it. Okay. I'm better at
Wow.
CS2 than I am at Apex.
Nice.
Much to Josh's chagrin, by the way. But anyway, so like I've got a bunch of Steam launchers on here, as well as this, all the controls for everything else, which in and of itself is pretty fantastic too. When you sit down at the computer and you decide that you want to play, like Knights of the Old Republic, you could open up Steam and scroll down and find Knights of the Old Republic, or you just hit the damn button right there and it opens up and it's just fantastic. Okay.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I hadn't heard about that one actually.
And like for the voice channels on the Discord server, I can hit a button and automatically connect and disconnect from the channel, so I don't have to go into Discord and highlight the channel and hit the hang up button if I want to sign off. It's all
Hmm.
right there in front of me. I mean, it's just fantastic.
That is pretty cool.
So yeah, I've
I actually
been
got I
focused
got
on
a
that.
little notice here. My print that I had running is done.
Oh, yeah, no, I'm staring at the two orange dinosaurs that are sitting right over there. They're
Yeah.
just looking at me.
I'm gonna throw up my BRB screen for a second. I'm gonna go grab it out of the next room and bring it back.
Actually, this sounds like I'm going to do the same thing. All right, I'm back. I see Shiggles is back, but he doesn't have his ears on. Who restarts their stream but doesn't have their ears on? Who does that?
I am back. My stream is not back.
Oh, okay. You're just on my shared screen. It never went away.
That's right. Oh no, that's the wrong scene. Oh man. Okay, there we go. Now I'm on the right scene.
Okay, so here's the real question: do the supports pop off the orange dinosaur without any issue? Because I actually, for that, I did try to print. I'm so dumb. I did try to print the one of the Pokemon chess figures. Once I did that board, I tried printing out Mew, who's like the king.
Uh-huh.
And when I went to remove the supports, both his arms ripped right off his body.
Oh no.
Happens
Yeah,
far.
it's like the very first thing I printed with supports was an X-wing, and I did not hold on to the little tip of the cannons. I went to snap the supports off.
All right, let's see. Gotta get the ones from in between the legs. Oh, I'm gonna need my bent pliers for this. I had no idea what a great tool that was until I started using it for this.
Can't tell whether I like the top side of this better or the actual side that was printed face down. So I didn't know this. It's a little like wall decor, but it printed the same on both sides. So the side that was on the textured plate is flat, but still with that texture on it. But it's exactly the same colors as the top side.
Hmm.
But yeah, this thing is a
Oh,
super
look
sweet
at
V8
that.
engine.
Look at that.
So I was just going to throw a command strip on the back of it and put it up on the wall somewhere.
That looks awesome.
It does. It looks really good. See, and this is like, okay, so I got silver. I just got Polymaker silver. So
Yeah.
none of that's gray. It's just Polymaker silver, which I feel like it does such a good job at being a light gray as well.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't bought any light gray. I just use silver in place of it.
How much?
But I do also use it for silver.
How much do you love the Polymaker filament?
It's pretty good stuff.
Which
The only one that I've said I'm not a big fan of is the gold, because it doesn't have enough of a metallic finish to it. It doesn't really look gold. But other than that, everything's been great.
Which, by the way, I am an affiliate of Polymaker. Anyone who wants to purchase Polymaker, you can use my link and save 10%.
Heck yeah, it's good stuff. I think I've got purple, I've got orange, I've got yellow, I've got magenta, I've got the gold and the silver, and I didn't do black though. What do we get for? Or actually, I don't know. I'll have to check because my wife ordered another spool of black. I'm not sure if she got bamboo or eSun or Polymaker, because those are the kind of the three that we like the most.
Yeah, for my bamboo printer, I only use bamboo filament. I've become a baby about that.
There's some good stuff too. I really like their cyan. Their cyan filament is such a pretty color.
Yeah.
I initially just got it because I needed it for color lithophanes, but it's a good color just by itself. And I've used it in some Hue Forges too.
You didn't buy that 4-pack of the cyan, the yellow, the magenta, and the teal, I think it was? Or I forget what it was.
White.
Oh, yeah. They had a 4-pack.
Yeah.
Specifically for doing lithophanes. Yeah.
I almost bought that, and then I didn't because I already had yellow from Polymaker. And technically I already had I did get magenta from Bamboo because I thought it looked different. But yeah. They are the same.
I'm trying to get a focus here.
They're identical in person. When I was putting them side by side, I was like, God damn it.
There we go.
Those are cool.
Yeah. So the supports
Little
came off perfectly.
Dinosaurs.
I love these knitted things. Oh my god.
Yeah. Those I find a lot of low poly models that people like to make too. Some of those are kind of cool.
And here's the tower I printed up with it. It didn't need a tower originally, okay, but because I put the black eyes on there, then it needed a tower.
And it needs one.
Yeah, I mean,
Lots to have a tower.
These bamboo printers are I can't say enough about the quality of the prints. Like it's unreal. When you see some of the people who show the examples of their models, you're like, what pile of crap printer are these people using because I print out the same model and it comes out 10 times better.
Yeah. I'm also going to design a shelf extension, I've decided. Or a tabletop extension. I need to figure out how to make it, though. Because I want to put my computer at a different angle. Like, I want, when it's next to me here, it's over on this side where you can't see it. But I hate that my desktop is not big enough for it to be anywhere except straight on. And I want it to be at like a 3/4 angle when I look at it so that I can see all my cool PC parts.
Right.
But in order to do that, for it to be diagonal, it would need to be a wider tabletop. So I'm going to look at printing some little extension pieces that I can attach to the desk that'll hold the two corners that would normally, or the 2 feet that'll hang off the edges.
So you want to do something similar to what Corsair did with their desk, the creator desk. They actually have wings you can attach that extend out the desk.
Sounds like it. Yeah.
One of the most expensive, like stupid desks out there, by the way.
Yeah.
I mean, my desk is 78 inches wide, and it's like almost the perfect size, but there's just something not right about it. I don't know.
Yeah.
Number one, I'm constantly running out of space. No matter how big I make these stupid things, I'm always running out of space. And I may end up buying another tabletop to put directly behind me, so that I can actually, because I'm gonna get another camera lens for my DSLR. That's a wide angle, so I can put that closer to me. Because right now that camera is that's like 6 feet away from me. In order for me to have this. Okay. Because it's a portrait lens that's on there. And it just wants like this. Okay. So I'm gonna get a wide angle lens for it, which will allow me to put directly behind the monitor. So then when I'm looking straight back, I want it to be able to see, like, put this stuff on display directly behind me and have a really nice backdrop, you know. As opposed to the mess I've got going on right now.
Yeah, kind of designed my backdrop. It's a little cut off because my angle's a little odd.
You need to get a cable channel to cover up that one stupid wire from your on-air light, because
I know
it's bugging the shit out of me.
It's the only thing, like, because I didn't plan for that. I didn't actually have that, and my wife bought it for me. She was like, "Isn't this cool?" And I was like, "This is cool." But then I was looking at it, I was like, "Damn, it does have the
I very much like it, but you need to get a channel cover for it so it runs straight down, and you need a second light so there's no shadows. Like,
I like the shadows.
No, stop. I'm not.
I like this because look, it's right behind me.
Okay.
This little V.
I don't necessarily hate the V, but that cord has a massive shadow.
Oh well, yeah. Cord shadow is lame. Because I was actually thinking about
the whole time we've been talking.
Earlier today, I was thinking about. I was like, maybe I should take a piece of my painter's tape and I'll just tape it straight down, because I know I have some of that paint left over that I painted that wall with, and then I could just run it down and just paint it the same color as the wall. But then I was like, that's too janky. I don't want to do that. I'll do a channel. I'll do it right. So there's actually a straight cable.
Yeah, I mean, just something. Do like even make it purple, so it may not even.
No.
Watch, you'll make it purple, and then you'll change the color of the light behind you.
Yeah, then I can't change the lights. No, I think what I'm going to do is I think I will get just like the smallest cable channel I can find and run it on there, and then just paint it with the same paint. So it'll match the wall that way. And that way, if I do change any light colors and stuff back there, it'll all just work out.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, honestly, if you had that channel, and even though you don't want to put a second light, putting a second light in so you have a light source on either side of it would eliminate any shadows and, just make it work a little bit better.
I could pull because I could pull that one, well, I guess closer to the on-air sign, and then I could put a different or the my second light like back here somewhere.
Yeah, you could. Yeah.
It's like I use both of my wall washers, and then I could figure out somewhere to mount one of my spots to point at the.
Well, another
Uh,
reason why I want my camera coming straight back is you know those the Evangelion lights from Elgato?
no,
No. Here, let
I
me.
haven't seen those.
Wow. Okay. So hold on a second. I'm about to blow your mind then. Okay. Let's see. Where's
I
Amazon?
also have another soft box I might use as a fill light. So I've got a stand for it. The only reason I honestly haven't put it up is because I wouldn't be able to put it anywhere permanently. Like the one I'm using, I guess technically this is fill light. No, this is short lighting. That's I see I learned a lot of lighting terms. It's short lighting because the short side of my face is lit. But that one, I can have that one on a stand and it doesn't have to move anywhere because I don't have anything else that goes on that side of the desk. It's just my couch is over there.
Where am I sorry?
So it just kind of occupies the little bit of space between the edge of the couch and the edge of the desk
Mm-hmm.
that I can't use for anything really. So I just leave that light up there all the time on its tripod. But if I put the other one on this side, that one would just be in the way of everything. And I'd just have to set it up and take it down whenever I don't want it.
Right.
So I didn't want to set it up. Also, I'd have to run another power. Well, no, I guess I could plug it into my PC power strip too. I was going to say I need more power.
In the chat for this channel,
Mhm.
I just posted a link so you can see what they are.
Oh.
I've got two of them running vertically directly behind me on the wall.
Open chat. Oh, okay. Those are pretty cool.
I did not pay that, by the way. I got them during Black Friday when they were far less expensive. Far less expensive than they are right now. But I did have to buy two sets of them, and they come in a massive box. I mean, I can't even.
Massive.
Just a monstrous box.
It's for the unboxing experience.
Oh, indeed, indeed, it is. Okay, because you know what a huge Evangelion fan I am.
Because of your lights? No. Just because you have lights.
There are 4 lights.
I didn't know what to think at first. I was like, Evangelion. I was like, how would they do an Evangelion light?
Oh, they have an Evangelion desk light too, like a pair of. That's what's actually lighting the sides of my face. I have the Evangelion desk lights on right now. Normally they're purple, but I was too dark with the purple, so I went ahead and just made them white for the stream. But any other time they're on, they're purple.
Yeah, I have a lot of purple stuff around here too.
I have a combination of purple and blue going on.
Those are the two best colors.
They work well together.
Purple, blue, and black are always my go-tos.
That would, yeah. I mean, that's why I have black bricks on the back and front walls in my office.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, they're sound absorbing, which is helpful too. But I just really love the aesthetic of black bricks all over the wall.
Yeah, it could be nice. I almost regret not doing this back wall blue. I just thought it would be too much blue and purple for everything. I was like, nah, I'll just do it like that bluish gray so it's not saturated.
Yeah,
But anymore now, it's like, I should just done.
You would really limit your aesthetic painting the wall a certain color. Like going all black is one thing, going all white, so you can drape it in colors is one thing. But I mean, actually picking a color for a wall that's going to be behind you every single time that you have the camera on, I mean, that's a real commitment. That is a real commitment.
Yeah, I did that. It's like a kind of a slate gray, but or a lighter gray, but it's got blue in it. So it plays really well with the purple. Like the purple shows up really nice on it.
Right.
And now it's just, since I have the corner in there, it bothers me that one's still that ridiculous yellow print color. It's not as bad since there's not as much of it, but I really hated using the regular wall before I painted it as a backdrop because the wallpaper there was just hideous. You couldn't really tell it was wallpaper on the quality of my camera or anything, but you couldn't really see the pattern of it. It just kind of all blended together into like a weird beigey brown kind of yellowish color. But it's actually like almost like a cream colored backing. And then it has brown, red, and blue like strips of really fine dots.
Okay.
I don't know who designed it, but it's terrible.
All right.
That's why like both of these rooms at this end of my house were like trimmed out in. And actually, I think, yeah, the hallway's that color too. It's not good times.
Okay, so going back in the direction of a conversation relating to 3D printing, what is your next major project that you're going to be working on?
Oh, the next major project is going to be printing out cable channels for this guy. Look at this thing. I put these all together. So I had to print out 6x6s. This is the biggest thing that would fit on my 3D printer.
Okay, yeah.
And there's 14 of them. That makes that board. Oh, that's a better angle. There you go.
Yeah.
See, I used the gold for the connectors because my wife was like, use some of that gold. It doesn't look gold.
Yeah.
But I have that. It should cover like the entire underside of the main portion of my desk. I might have to print like 2 or 3 other smaller ones to like hit the L.
Right.
But it's like the L section that I need between the computer and where that board comes to is probably 1 tile space. So I don't know if I'll even bother or if I'll just have them come out from channels attached to that and then just run to the computer.
Okay.
That way it doesn't lock me down as hard. If I want to reposition it a little bit, that gives me a little bit of flex, so I could actually pivot it or move it forward and backward and not be like, oh, my cables are all tied up in here. Now I got to like take half of them out.
I see.
But I got a route, where I want to get all of those cables to go, and I got to get an extension cable I don't know if I'm going to use an extension. I might just buy a longer cable for the camera. It's a little short.
Does your camera require a minimum of USB 3.0?
Probably.
I was just curious because if I have bought some high-end cables, like really attractive USB cables, and I didn't realize that they were USB 2.0. I went to plug them into my Elgato stuff, and none of it would work because all the Elgato stuff requires 3.0. I was like, man, that sucks.
Yeah.
Didn't matter if it was the prompter, the webcam, anything.
Yeah.
Nothing would work unless it was 3.0.
I'm pretty sure it does because it has the pan, tilt, and zoom functions and stuff.
Oh, that's right.
So it probably needs that in order to transfer that kind of data stuff as well. It probably wouldn't work over 2.0.
Have you messed around with your gesture controls on that thing?
I've tried. For some reason, it will pick up, if I do the gesture to have it start tracking, it picks that up right away. And it's like, oh yeah. And it works really good. But if I do the gesture to make it stop, it takes forever for it to pick up that I'm telling it to stop. And I'll think that it's done it. And then I'll test it. I'll be like, oh, it's lean this way. And then it's like, it'll track. And I'm like, oh, God damn it. And I'll sit there and hold up my hand again. So it's a little bit janky in that regard, but it's also, I don't know, like I'm not super lit up here either. I think if I had more light on me, it might pick it up a little bit easier.
Yeah, I think that's another reason why I want to move that camera, because I want to go back to using my key lights, and I don't have a spot to put the key lights right now because the camera's over there. Okay. And I want the camera there so I can put the key lights on the sides where they belong to light me up properly. It is kind of
Okay.
frustrating when, like, I know exactly how I want to do things, but I can't do it because if I have the camera right there, the whole screen is just my massive head. Okay, like there's just
Yeah.
no. I'd have to sit all the way back, all the way nowhere near the desk in order for me to fit normally into the image. So I can't even express to you how annoying it is
Yeah.
sometimes.
No. So this one does pretty good because I have it. Well, I don't want to mess up my scene here. I don't think I am. No, I think I just cropped it. So from like top to bottom, I think this is the full
Hmm.
image that it does. I just cropped it in on the sides a little bit, but it's not that far. It's only like 2 feet away.
Oh, by the way, um, did you see the way I set up my stream tonight versus the way I set it up last time?
Yeah, I like that.
I think it looks much better this way. Put the logo,
Yep.
a small logo instead of the giant logo I had before, and we were barely on the screen. I feel like
Yeah,
this looks much better.
yeah. It gets the whole thing in there at the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
There's more real estate for cameras and stuff.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I had to build a just chatting scene basically for this podcast because I didn't even have one on my OBS.
I have the just chatting for my regular stream, but
Mhm.
I was like, you know what? I'm gonna make a just a. I'm gonna actually gonna give a channel to the podcast. So I created a scene just for the podcast, just
Yeah.
like I created the voice channel for the podcast, because um, I I don't want it to be something that we start and then decide not keep it up or something. I want to make it like something we're actually focused on.
Hmm.
So like the actually I don't know if you saw it, but Nerd or Die this week. I don't know if they're still up there, but you may want to check it out. They have a new alert box or alert widget set that's available that is Marvel Rivals themed. Okay. And it's free.
Huh.
Okay.
Really?
Yeah.
Hmm.
Um, and I didn't incorporate it this week. This week I still have just the Twitch ones. Okay. But next week, if I have enough time, I may try and get the Marvel Rivals on. So anything that happens, it'll because it is a massive like across the screen thing that's going on.
Yeah.
Um, it actually looked pretty awesome. So I may try and get those incorporated for next week,
Huh.
especially since they were free. You know.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I think I might switch up my backdrop on my scene. I do have a synthwave like pack that I got from Nerd or Die quite a while ago.
Yeah.
I think I might try that out, and for the alerts too, just because it fits the color scheme and stuff that we use better.
Yeah. Did you see my my logo on Discord? Um,
Yeah, that looks really nice actually.
yeah, that synthwave sunset. I have the
Yep.
same mouse pad on my desk. When I saw the thing, I'm like, oh, I'm doing that. That is totally going to be what I've got going
Yeah.
on. Another thing I was thinking of doing was, uh, like, I have this TV over here next to my chair, and I was thinking that for what might be an interesting part of a backdrop, if I moved it back here when I'm not using it to watch from my chair, actually had it with the the sunrise, the synthwave sunrise, the motion thing going
Hmm.
on in the background. That might be a cool backdrop, but I don't know if it's big enough because it's only a 43 inch, and I don't know that it would take up enough space to even be like worth it in the back.
You never know till you try.
Yeah, right. And then I go through the effort, and
Throw
I'm
it
like,
back
I don't
there.
like it. And
Yeah, and they're
after
like,
those
I hate
effort,
this. This is dumb.
what kind of idiot does this?
Or it's way too bright and it just blows the image out.
Oh yeah, that too. That's
That was what I had with that little on-air light sign. That is the lowest brightness setting it has. And it still is, it looks a little bit blown out, kind of.
only the N. The N is like really pushing the
Yeah. Well,
candle
because
power.
I think the border on the on side of it is blue, but the letters ON are the only part that are white. Everything else is colored. And because of that, those are just like,
You
they're
can't
a
tell
little
that's blue.
more intense. Yeah, it's the border is really light blue.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, it bleeds into the color. I can see like in my OBS window, I see the colors a little bit better, But if I look over at like my preview thing that I'm sending you and stuff,
Yeah.
yeah, like the border around the air does have more of a reddish kind of hue to it.
Mm.
And then the other side just kind of looks white.
Judging by what happened tonight, I need to get an on-air light for my office because at the beginning of
Ooh.
our stream, everyone just decided to start coming by my office.
They're like, "What are you doing in here, man? Are you busy right now?" But yeah, this coming week, I'm gonna try and get some of the, at least I think the main kind of 2 cable channels printed out
Mm.
for that multi-board set, and then see what else I need on top of that, because I might try and separate data cables and power cables. But then also I was like, well, I don't have a whole lot of power cables I'm running underneath. It's really just the 3.
Mm-hmm.
So I might separate them in some other way, maybe just like by where they run to or something. But I'm gonna try and get that set up so I can finally get my rat's nest of wires under this desk taken care of. And then I think I'm gonna try to hopefully design those little shelf extender things so I can angle my PC. And I might try to print this really cool like DeLorean suspended in like a little tunnel model that I found on Maker World.
I know exactly which one you're talking about. I've seen it.
It looks super cool. I did manage to scale it down to where I could fit the multicolored version on my print bed.
Yeah.
But I think it does take like 32 hours or something.
Wow.
So I was like, I don't know if I want to print that just yet. Because if I print it in just solid colors and paint it, it'd take way less time and I could make it a little bit bigger.
You know what
But
astounds me when I think about the motors on these printers? How they just keep going and going and going. You think about a 32-hour print on a bed slinger, that thing is whipping back and
yeah,
forth for like 32 hours. God.
yeah, it's a lot. And the constant direction changes too.
Oh my God.
Because it's
Yeah.
not just spinning in one direction while it's running. You know, it'll turn one way and then it's got to turn the other way.
Mhm.
It's constantly changing, and speeds are changing all the time too.
Oh my God, that's crazy.
It's some incredible precision because I've worked with machines like my whole adult life, but there's nothing that has that kind of precision that I've ever used. Everything turns at like 1 or sometimes up to 3 different speeds and only in one direction. Although they do go nonstop almost, but still, it's less impressive to me because there's not anywhere near the degree of precision that these things have.
Oh, I forgot to mention something else I printed this week. I was prolific. Okay, there was a lot of stuff that came off my
Oh
machine.
yeah.
Okay, so you see this?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, this is actually a chopstick trainer.
Oh,
Okay,
nice.
you put chopsticks in there, and then you can just hold them.
I might actually use chopsticks if I had one of those.
It's funny you should say that because this is available on my store.
Oh my god. I can get pad thai more often.
Oh my God, shrimp pad thai. Oh,
I don't feel like such a rube having to use my fork.
anytime we go to a hibachi style restaurant, I'm always I'm like the only person at the table using chopsticks. I got used to using chopsticks when I ate sushi. So now that's what I do. I eat it all with chopsticks. But like, I might even use these just for the ease of use and simplicity of it, you know?
Oh
And
yeah.
there's several different ones, by the way. Uh, the waving cat one I liked just because of the popularity of the image. But there's like a sushi roll one. There's like a Chinese bodega building, you know, kind of like a temple looking thing.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Everybody just loves the waving cat. At least that's my experience. I've never seen anyone who's like, "Oh, I hate that stupid thing."
He's super cute and he fits in with the whole, like you can tell that it was a Japanese animator or somebody that drew the original design. There's something just that even their stuff that's not supposed to look anime, I guess. But like you can just kind of tell like that cultural art style.
Yeah, it's got an oddly authentic look to it.
Yeah, it's distinct enough that you just like pick it up somehow, and it's like you'll see something, and it's like, I bet that's from Japan.
Oh,
And they do love cats too.
so I have found that some of the purge towers that get created, I don't want to get rid of, and I've started using them now as spacers when I'm trying to glue stuff together and I need like specific heights to hold stuff up so that it doesn't wobble. I
Mhm.
have I have purge towers now of a bunch of different heights that I've been using.
Nice.
I don't know why, but this one printed out almost 100% infill. I have no idea why. It is super
Huh.
heavy. Okay, if I told you this thing was 3 pounds, just holding it, I'm not exaggerating. This thing has to be at least 3 pounds. It is so solid. It's a weapon. If I threw it at
It's a
someone, it would hurt them.
weapon.
Okay.
Put it in a slingshot.
Oh
There
my.
you go.
Um. Yeah. So a couple of them, especially the ones that are like mostly black, I've decided to hold on to them because either I'm going to use them as a decorative piece in something like an external chimney on a building or something, but
Yeah.
uh, I don't see why I wouldn't use it. Actually, the print quality on this tower is one of the cleanest prints I think I've ever seen. There's no layer lines on here whatsoever.
You're like, why is my purge tower like perfect?
I know. How is that a thing?
Yeah,
Uh,
I was thinking about doing that DeLorean model just as kind of a stress test kind of thing,
hmm.
to be like, how long of a print? Because I've never tried anything that long. I think the longest print I did might have been like 13 hours or something so far. So that would be a good like marathon test. And for just model complexity. I think it uses 3 or 4 colors. Although I think it uses 2 different kinds of gray. I would have to just use my silver for both of them. But it would cut down on my painting, and since I hate painting, that might be a good option.
Okay. Uh, oh, I don't have. Hmm. I'd have to load up a brown if I wanted to do this. I'm looking at models while we're talking, and there's some really fun ones just sitting on Maker World right now. Is
Yeah.
that is that the same guy? It is the same guy. Have you noticed how some people like pick an art style for their designs and just make a like dozens of different versions of it?
Oh yeah.
I'm looking at these layered sculptures of different comic book characters, and the same guy is
Oh.
making them. Um, there's an Iron Man, a Batman.
Yeah, that little hot rod that I printed out, that guy has, I think, probably like a dozen different cars and trucks. They're all in the same tuned style, he calls it.
So I found someone who made for the P1P a board cube enclosure,
Oh, nice.
and I was thinking of printing it for my P1S and attaching it and putting the LED lights underneath. Um,
Hmm.
uh, that might be something that I work on throughout the week because that could be kind of cool.
Yeah.
Not sure. Why are these gnomes flipping me off? That is not very positive.
No,
They've got
it's a
gnomes
good one.
flipping you off. Like,
I might have to buy some Pet G to make some of those.
you're right. I don't know if I have enough Pet G left after these shields that I could do that. Although I have to print another one of these parts potentially. I haven't just. I have decided that if that Elegoo printer is not of an amazing price, that is the direction I'm going in. But I
Mm.
don't know.
Yeah, we'll see. We've had some high priced electronics coming out this last couple of weeks. I don't want them to be another one.
Oh my god, okay, so Creality had the K2 enclosed Core XY printer with
Hmm.
multicolor. And I was like, oh my god, that looks really cool. And then I saw the price. I'm like, it's not that cool.
Like suddenly I don't want it as much.
And then there's the ultimate one, the Prusa XL. Did you
Oh
see the
yeah.
5-head unit for that? Do you do
Yep.
you, do you see how it works?
I haven't watched it. I've seen one person that had a like B-roll footage of it, but I didn't actually watch anything that was more close up to it. I was just super interested
There's almost no
until I saw the
waste.
price.
There's almost no waste.
Yeah. Yeah, because it's loaded a different color into each tool head, so
Right.
it doesn't purge out over and over.
The only waste is the $4,000 you need to buy.
Yeah, it's expensive.
$4,000.
It's a little much. But not only do you save on material, but you save time because it doesn't have to do all those purge and cut cycles. So when it changes, it just goes back, drops off one tool head, grabs a different one, goes back to printing.
You know, I do get that, but do you know how much you'd have to do for that to make sense?
Yeah.
Oh my god, just like
I mean, I got some credit cards that don't have balances on them, but I
I
kind of
dare
don't
you.
want
I
them to
dare
have
you.
balances
Oh
on
my
them.
I so dare you. Oh my god. You don't have the balls.
No, I don't.
He's like,
I got to
no,
make a big payment.
I
I
don't
got
want
to
to
make
get
a payment
divorced.
next month. Yeah, and next month I got to pay the IRS a bunch of money. So,
Ew, why?
because I had too much overtime.
Yeah.
Filed my 2023 taxes and had a sizable amount that I still owed. So I put in an extension on it and stuff, and it's coming due. But I was like, man, got all these credit cards paid down, but I did have to take out another loan for the furnace. That sucked.
Oh yeah.
So it's like I have that on top of the car payment, and then I was like, once this IRS thing is paid up, I think I might want to dedicate some time to paying some of that stuff down. So I'm not using any credit cards for anything that's not paid off within the month.
Gotcha.
Tired of carrying balances on them.
Yeah, right.
And then it feels bad to pay it off and then go, but now I have money.
All of a sudden the hands start getting real active.
I don't know, unless they really go through with the that idea they keep kicking around. I don't remember which one it was. I know it was part of Trump was talking about. He wanted to do a 10% cap on credit cards, but I don't know if that'll actually ever go through.
What do you mean 10% cap?
They want to actually make it a law that credit card companies are not allowed to have higher than 10% interest rates.
Oh, shut up. That would be insane.
It's 10% should be capped. But I mean, a cap wouldn't be bad, but I don't know if they would ever get 10% pushed through. Maybe 20. They might be able to cap at 20 or something.
Even at 20, that's not bad. Because
at 20 though, there's no advantage for me because I need something lower than what I've got. I'm counting on the 10.
No, I'm not arguing that point. But at the same time, if 20 is the cap, then you'd probably qualify for so much less than 20 because you'd be on a different spectrum.
That's true. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because right now, I think 35 is the cap. Okay.
So, yeah. 34.99.
Yeah. So, I mean, when you're looking at that makes kind of a difference.
Yeah. My youngest was looking at offers and stuff at one point, and she was asking me about them. She's like, is this normal or whatever? And I was like, well, unfortunately, for someone your age, yes, it is normal. It sucks. That's why you don't carry a balance on it.
You know what's crazy is that we're at the age now where people come to us for advice.
Yeah.
That's got to stop.
I can tell everybody that it's terrible. I'll be like, no, I've been through this. Yeah, it sucks. That's how it is. You know what I did? I didn't participate.
Oh my God.
People don't like that answer though.
I had bad credit for the majority of my young life.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have decent credit until 5-6 years ago. And now I have exceptional credit. It's it's a gift.
Yeah. Yeah, I went to the point where it was actually I had decent credit rating, I would think so. It's just I didn't have a lot of used credit ever until I was 21. I finally took out a car loan, and then I didn't know until after I'd had that loan for a year and a half that the bank I took it out from does not report to credit bureaus. And so that loan never went on my history. So then I decided not to take any credit cards out because I didn't like the interest rates and stuff. So I put off building credit until I was like 35 years old. And then it became like a real issue. And I was like, I got to start, I guess,
Yeah, at some point.
It sucks. It's just as bad as having terrible credit as being like 35 years old and you have almost no credit history. They basically don't differentiate between that.
Yeah, I mean, actually, who is it? Affirmed.
Mm.
I started using them for little stuff, and paying off those things made my credit score shoot right through the roof.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because they don't they don't do hard pulls when they decide whether or not they want to help you buy stuff, but
Yeah.
um when you pay stuff off, they report to the credit bureaus that you have paid off revolving credit.
Nice.
Yeah. Um, and each time you pay it off, it's like you've paid off, uh, like a whole cart.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't want to tell you how many open affirms I have right now, but uh, you know, the majority of them are more than halfway paid off, and by like June of this year, I think I'll only have like 5 or 6 open, and those were for like really really big purchases.
Yeah.
But every single time you check one off the list, you get a ding 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 ding.
Nice.
Yeah.
I was thinking about actually using them the next time I get a graphics card. Because it does suck to try and save up every time. And now that I've decided not to cap myself at like $300 for a GPU,
Yeah,
it's
but
harder to save up.
I mean, I have no intention of going for the 50 series.
Do it. Don't you want a 5090? You could
No, I
get
really
another
don't.
mortgage or something.
If I was going to spend that much money on a graphics card, I'd buy a Prusa XL with 5 printing heads.
Oh yeah, you get something else instead.
Exactly. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and the whole thing. Okay, I completely skipped because I didn't want to get into the mindset of like upgrading every generation.
You're not going to believe
Because
this. You're not going to believe this. As we're talking, okay, I started a new print, and it did not break the filament when it went to clean the head. I'm looking at a giant snot of a
already messed up.
Hold on a second. God,
You need some plastic repellent paint, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'll be the big thing. He's coming back, but plastic repellent paint. I'm trying it. I'll have real world data because I don't think I go a full week if I do a print like a print or two every day. There's always something that messes up. I'll be able to say for sure whether it helps. Oh no. I've clicked too many things. I was trying to check one thing. I mess up my whole OBS.
What's that?
Be smaller. Oh no, I was I was just trying to check my stats on OBS and I went to I must have misclicked on something and clicked and dragged across a window or so. It was all messed up. My preview window looks awful.
Oh.
It hasn't changed on the stream, but I've messed up like my own view of what things are supposed to look like.
Oh. Oh my! I mean, literally, as we're talking, I watched that thing drag across the tube and not break. I'm like, you can't be serious.
Yeah. Well, I'll know. I should know. Hopefully, if I have a whole week where I don't have any filament stick to my nozzle, then I will safely say that plastic repellent paint works.
Okay, but you were saying
because while I haven't printed, I haven't printed a whole lot of stuff this last week, but my wife has printed a ton of stuff.
Yeah,
mostly little fidget toys and stuff. Because she decided to print a bunch and take it to I forget what the name of it. I think it might be CASA, or it's CASA something, because they're court appointed special advocates. So therefore, minors that have either them or their parents are in the legal system for something, and they decide that kid needs to have an additional advocate to help them navigate things. But they do stuff, like Christmas toy drives, and they just have stuff, throughout the year. They help with school supplies and whatnot, and try to help provide things like birthday presents and whatnot for the kids that are not with parents and things.
Right.
But they have like a center that's there at the office where kids come in if they have supervised visits, or if they have to meet with counselors, if they have to meet with lawyers and stuff. They can do that at the CASA place. And they have these little rooms where they can go into when either adults or parents or foster parents all have to talk without the child being present. So they just kind of have like activity rooms, and they can be like, all right, just you guys can play in here. And she was like, yeah, she volunteers for them. And she was looking around at some of their stuff, and she was like, they don't have a whole lot of stuff. Like, they have the basics, but she felt like they didn't have a whole lot of variety of things.
Right.
And she was like, she also noticed that they seem to have a pretty high amount of kids with either autism or sensory issues. And she was like, they would really love little fidget toys.
Yeah.
Like, that would keep them super engaged. So she has printed like dozens and dozens of different of copies of probably 10 different fidget toys, and just like little things that they can play with and keep there. And she made some that are just going to stay at the center, and they'll be in their little sensory rooms, and other stuff that she's going to donate to the gift side. So it's things that other advocates can pick out that they think their kids that they manage might like as a gift. So she's printed a ton of that stuff. So it's been running. It's just hasn't been running things that I decided to print a whole lot. And then I was always, since I don't plan ahead, then I wasn't super prepared whenever she's like, do you want to print something today? Like I could take a break from printing all this stuff. And I'm like, I don't know. I don't have anything picked out yet. Let me see.
My toothpick holders are about an hour and 20 minutes from completion, and they are looking so good. Oh my goodness.
Nice.
Oh my goodness.
My autofocus is messed up. Here, focus on this.
Yeah, it's been a little iffy tonight. A little iffy. But that's okay. When I first sat down, the autofocus on mine was not on at all. I literally had to turn the camera off and turn it back. I didn't realize I had left the camera on for like 3 or 4 days. And for a DSLR, that's really not a good idea.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah.
So the autofocus was completely done. It was like, yeah, no. So I turned it off for like 5 minutes, turned it back on, it was fine. But yeah, that is not a good thing.
Yeah. I might have to play with it a little bit. But I did notice if I turn the autofocus completely off on this one, it seems like it focuses more of the image, and I liked having the background a little bit blurrier.
Right.
Like, so I have some depth of field effect. I didn't want to use a filter or anything for it. But if you leave autofocus on, you get more depth of field. But if you turn it off manually, it seems like it locks into like a hard, like full picture focus, kind of like every other webcam does. Or every other cheap webcam that are not designed for content creators, it seems like. Because I feel like the Elgato webcams are pretty good at giving depth of field effect as well, but any other webcam, they kind of just, they're all in focus all the time. I just thought it was odd that if I turn...
Someone's trying to sell you viewers.
Oh, nice. I can go to Stream Boo. No, I will not. I'll pay you in exposure. Oh man, I can never remember how to do any of these like chat moderation things. Not for the life of me.
I let do you remember Augustus we played Apex with a little bit?
Oh yeah.
Okay. So I let him moderate my stream for like a week, where he went in and removed like a bunch of bots, but he also blocked a ton of people. Okay. And
Oh wow.
like, you remember what were their names? I can't remember his name. Remember that other couple that I was playing Apex with for a short period of time? Uh, I don't remember what his stupid name, like his screen name was. Anyway, Augustus blocked him, okay, for some reason. And because he blocked him
Okay.
from my channel, they stopped talking to me.
Oh wow.
And so like I had messaged her on Instagram. I was like, "You guys never stop by the channel anymore. We don't play Apex anymore. You know what happened?" And she's like, "Oh, you blocked uh, him, her boyfriend or whatever, and he got pissed, and so
Okay.
like no one told me. I didn't know he was blocked. I went back and I unblocked him, and they still never came back. Like,
Oh wow. What was he just like automatically blocking people that sent messages like
no,
or a number in a row or something? He's just like, oh, they sent like 5 messages in a row, just block them.
what? It wasn't so much like people who were messaging, but like bots who were watching the channel, and so he was like, "Oh, this is a bot. This is a bot. This is a bot. This is a bot." I didn't check back
Oh,
to make
okay.
sure that he was like doing the right thing, and
Yeah.
he had actually blocked several people. The majority of them I didn't care about, but these were people that I interacted with on a regular basis. I didn't know that the person was blocked. Like I didn't.
Yeah.
Uh, and so when I found out that they were pissed at me, I'm like, well, you couldn't have been that angry. Neither one of you said anything to me. Like, how about? By the way, you blocked me on your stream. It'd be, there. I didn't do it. Like,
Yeah. You're like, well, I didn't mean to. Or I wasn't supposed to.
it wasn't me. It was the one-armed centurion.
Yeah, I don't know. This is I feel like they design like modding stuff to be harder than it needs to be on these. It's like if you don't know how to use it, it's like you can't just figure it out.
Huh.
I can look at this guy's profile. I can I could
Okay,
ban him.
I was gonna
I
say,
can do all that stuff, but
why
it's
not
like,
just
how do I remove the chat?
if you if
Why
you
isn't that an option?
if you time it out, doesn't it automatically remove the chat?
I don't know. Let's try. Hey, it does remove it. You're timed out forever. I feel like it's just kind of clunky. I don't know. To me, I wish you could just right click on one and just like from your moderator panel and just be like delete. Get rid of this. That'll teach me to not have that dock up though, huh? Go poking around for it every time. I'm not used to that. I only had like, well, besides you and occasionally like Connie every now and then, it was like I only had 2 regular chatters when I was doing XCOM runs. I didn't have to worry about it.
I
I
I,
felt like I was super easy to moderate that chat.
I did find it funny. The last couple times you streamed, Cam would check in, and I'd always try and say, "Hey, Cam, what's going on?" And she would never respond to me. Like,
Yeah, and she
to this day, I still don't know why she left the Discord server.
but she'd just pop in to say hi. But yeah, aside from that, she'd just be like, "Hey,"
Yeah,
and then nothing else.
so
I
weird.
was like, okay.
There was a point in time where we were just attracting, and this is not a negative thing in any way, but we were attracting some of the most unique individuals. Okay.
Yeah, I was actually reminded of Connie the other day just because I loaded up my XCOM and I still have it. Like 2K removed their launcher, so you don't have to launch the stupid 2K launcher from Steam to play 2K games anymore,
Okay.
which is nice. But it did save. It still has my character pool, so every character that I've had that I custom created at all through either the first or second Firaxis XCOM games, they're in a pool. And they will occasionally just load into my game as a
Oh,
soldier
that's
slot.
right, because you set up one for Connie, one.
Yep.
Yeah, yeah.
And I started a
My
new Iron
character
Man
always
run.
died first.
Yes. For some reason, if I named a character, that character that I named after you, man, he had the worst luck.
He was always dying.
You're still alive, actually, in the one that I'm not streaming in my Iron Man run I have now. But I had one that was super far along. I was pretty far along in the game in the Iron Man mode, which is where you can't manually save.
Mm-hmm.
So it prevents you from reloading missions is the whole idea. Like every action you take is permanent. Like
Okay.
you can't go back and retry. It'll give you a chance if you hit a mission that would normally completely end the game for you, you have the option to restart from the beginning of that mission.
Right.
That's the only kind of like saving manipulation you can do. And I had one started, and then I decided I wanted to use some mods for more character customization options.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't want to load up I'm going really well in this run. I don't want to mess it up with a mod that screws something up and it doesn't load or whatever. So instead, I started a new game with the mods on, and then I tested them out kind of, and it's like, okay, everything looks good. Close that out. Went back to reload my Iron Man run, and it was gone.
Oh
It had
no.
overwritten it with the new game I started.
That's not good.
And then I was like, I thought maybe it was because you could only have one, like if you had an Iron Man game in there that you couldn't do anything else. Like it was either you play this Iron Man save or you can't have anything else going at the same time until that's over. And I actually complained about it in somebody else's stream. I just said they were playing XCOM 2, but they're playing a ridiculously huge mod pack. And I was like, yeah, I kind of just lost my good Iron Man save. And I was like, I didn't realize, it didn't tell me that I couldn't have more than one. And then everybody was like, you can have more than one. Like you have a bunch of different Iron Man games. They'll just save them to different slots. And I was like, well, what the hell happened to me? Like I started a new game and it wasn't even in Iron Man mode and it deleted my Iron Man save.
Oh no.
And nobody could figure out what had happened. They were like, that doesn't make any sense at all.
You're lying.
And they're all like, I could tell that they're all more familiar with the mods than I am too. And it was like, I was like, well, is it because I launched the first game with no mods? And then because you have to use a different launcher. I was like, did it overwrite it because I used the mod launcher and then it replaced my stuff? And they're like, no, that shouldn't happen either. Like several people were like, no, because I have games that are vanilla and they're on the same like sheet when you go to load games as your modded ones.
Right.
They just don't load properly in the modded version. But I was like, well, whatever happened to me, it was like, it's gone. It is completely gone. It is not there. So I had to start a whole new game over.
Sag.
But you are still alive.
Only until I have to move, and then I'll be taken out instantly.
I gave you're a ranger this time because I didn't get to choose your class.
All I remember is every time I watched you play, and if you had a character named after me, I would just watch him miss every shot and then get taken out.
Yeah. I don't know why. I swear to God, I think the 2K launcher could tell if you were streaming and it just gave you worse luck. Because there were times that I tried three different runs when I was streaming that game to complete it, and I never got very far. I would hit catastrophic failure at some point where it wasn't like game over screen, but I would have a mission go so badly. I was like, I can't recover from it. Like, because I just lost everybody, or I lost 5 of my best people. It's too late in the game to recover from that. I can't just go back from rookies, But it was rough. It might have also, I don't know, some of it could have just been because that was the first time I played that expansion, but because I played the base game quite a bit, but I did not have the expansion pack when I was playing it before. Just because it ran so bad on PlayStation that I didn't want to do the expansion that way.
Yeah.
But it's a great game,
Well, I mean,
when it doesn't delete your saves.
A great game, is it?
It's fantastic.
It's fantastic.
It has me entertained. It has me considering streaming another run of it, even though nobody watches it.
Okay, so that was going to be another question that I had for you. So we have, so we're now too deep into the podcast. Which, by the way, I'm going to be wrapping up in a few minutes because we didn't have an hour of technical difficulties we were dealing with.
Oh yeah.
So, but we should plan a gaming stream where we're cooperating or multi-streaming or whatever. And we need to figure out what game we want to do that with. It's a shame that Josh doesn't stream, because if we could get all of us streaming, even if it's just freaking Fortnite or CS too, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Oddly enough, I'm not gonna lie. Okay, I was not expecting much when I booted up CS2, but I have enjoyed it. Okay. Granted, I was forced to mute, the in-game chat because.
Oh yeah.
I mean, let's not even get started about that. It's not as bad as Valorant, okay, but it wasn't awesome. And much like the Fortnite version of that style game, the flashbanging has got to. I mean, you've got people flashbanging like right from the start,
Yeah.
and and the flashbang in that will blind you as a person, not your character. I'm talking about you. Okay. Especially when it's one on top of the other and then another and then another. But oddly enough, it is very playable. Surprisingly so. Not as much fun as Fortnite or Apex, in my opinion, but still playable. All right, so
yeah, I'd be willing to give it a shot, I think. See if I'm any good at it.
Oh, well, that's something we'll have to schedule then. All right, so closing thoughts. Is there anything that you want to plug, talk about, or give like a preview for next week?
Okay, well, we will see. There'll be a result. I don't know what the result will be, but we will see how the Back to the Future DeLorean suspended guy goes.
Okay.
Might go terrible. I figure even if it fails, well, unless it fails like in the very first like couple of layers, but even if it does fail, I think I'll just bring it so it can like put it on camera to show anybody that might be curious, like what does a weird failed print look like?
Oh my god!
So if there's something strange that goes on, it's like, oh yeah, here, this is something that could happen.
I totally.
Or if it turns out really good, then obviously I want to, show it off if it does work.
Mm-hmm.
The cable channels, I don't know. I'll have some of those done, but I don't know. I might just take some stills of those before I put them up and then share those so I don't have to like keep it unassembled and then put them on camera.
That makes sense.
And then other stuff. Hopefully next week I will have my rudimentary shop up and going. So I'll have a couple of things up there for sale.
Yes, we need to get the Shiggle storefront
and
up
have
and running.
Some sample prints that I can show for things there.
Awesome. Okay. So I'm going to take a moment just to remind that I do have a shop. Visit it, look at the models. If you see anything you like, feel free, purchase, maybe. But anyone who's looking to listen to this podcast, like in its full form, well, not quite full form because it's going to be mildly edited, but you can hear it on iHeartRadio, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Amazon Music. Okay, those 4 places you can listen to. Plus, the VOD will be up here on Twitch, and the edited VOD will be on YouTube. Not to mention whatever shorts I feel like are pullable from this episode. We will be on, I think we agreed, next Sunday. So instead of skipping a week, we're going to be on next week to talk about stuff. And at some point, maybe on a Saturday or on a Friday night, or whenever you're available, we'll figure out a time to hop on and play something. And who knows? At some point, we might actually get you above that 50 mark, so you can start running your own ads.
Oh yeah, one of these days.
So I mean, that's what we have go. Oh, I did have. Okay, one last question, then we're shutting it down. How's the Patreon coming?
The Patreon is registered.
Oh,
That's
okay.
where it's at.
That-
But yeah, I do have a business email for it too, because that was the hurdle at first.
Okay.
But I got a Gmail account set up so that it will be not just linked under like one of my email addresses or something.
Okay, there you go. So at some point we will have that going as well, for anyone who enjoys the podcast and wants to support it directly. Either way, and we're working on coming up with different tiers for rewards for anyone who's actually willing. It's a nice cat moving around in the background. For anyone who's willing and interested to help us keep this thing going. Either way, like I said, and we'll be able to recap whether or not I'm purchasing an Elegoo or another bamboo printer when we come on next week as well. So that's something to look forward to. That's all I have. So unless you have anything else, we're going to close this thing out.
Cool. No, that's all I got for the week.
All right. So I want to thank Cyphermain for giving me a follow 4 days ago, giving Shiggles a follow earlier tonight, reminding me to stay hydrated and to sit up in my chair, and just generally hanging out with us at the beginning of the stream. And anyone else who check this out, if you enjoy the content, please feel free to throw us a like. Check out the edited VOD or the shorts on YouTube. We did get a decent number of views, not a great number. I mean, just not bad number of views on some of the shorts on YouTube, which was kind of cool. So we're going to try and build on that. And I guess we'll see you next week.
All right, man. Sounds good.
Bye.
See you guys.